anticipation around the ground, settling into your seats and putting your packed lunch to one side and then nattering to your fellow members and that kind of thing. And particularly here at Chelmsford, the home supporters are big followers of their county and like to be.
Well, a very good morning to you from myself, Glenn Speller, here at the county ground in Chelmsford. We have some cricket for you. We have some county cricket. Fantastic setting in front of us. Blue sky, there's some cloud dotted around, but we're in for a fantastic day's weather ahead of us. A full day's cricket is expected. I'll be joined by my colleague from BBC Radio Kent, Ben Watts, in the next few moments, as well as we... County cricket. It's a county championship, not the county championship, so Essex will still effectively be county champions. Fingers crossed when everything returns to some sort of normality next April. But this is the Bob Willis Trophy. Essex will play, and indeed Kent will play, 5 4-day group matches. The teams have been split into 3 groups, and then the group winners with the most points, the 2 with the most points at the end of it, will play what could be a 5-day final at Lord's at the end of September, and then stretching into October. That's all for discussion further on during the day. We'll give you the contact details as well if you want to get in touch with us throughout the day in the next few moments as well. But we are set to get underway here. The toss news is that Kent won the toss and they elected to bat. Probably no real surprise there. The Essex team today: Nick Brown, Sir Alistair Cook, Tom Westley, Varun Chopra. Feroz Kushi comes into that middle order for Essex. Ryan Tenderscarter, the former captain now, Adam Wheater, Simon Harmer, Sam Cook, Jamie Porter and Matt Quinn. Run you through the Kent side in the next few moments. I will be doing an update into the BBC Essex News at 11 AM as well. But if you're a regular listener, you'll know all about that, won't you? The players just taking a knee here before play starts in reflection of the Black Lives Matter campaign. And a few moments ago we did have both sets of players lining up in front of the pavilion here for a moment of reflection following the events over the course of the last few months as well. So all reflections have been taken today and we're ready and all set to get underway here at the county ground. On the BBC Sport website and the app as well, if you're heading around and about today, then do take us with you on the app. But we're set to get underway with the first ball of the day, the first ball of the county season, which is pushed back down the pitch for no run. Want to get in touch with us today, and we'll give the Kent details no doubt. essex.sport@bbc.co.uk is the email, and you can tweet us as well at BBC Essex Sport, at BBC Essex Sport, if you want to drop us a tweet. They're the two ways to get in contact. As I say, we are underway here. First ball has been pushed away from Jamie Porter, who's running in now from the Hayes close end, and that second one is driven past mid-off, and that will race away over this lightning quick outfield here at Chelmsford and just trundle over the rope and into the advertising hoardings. And there's the first runs of the day, a beautifully struck 4 by Bell Drummond. He's off the mark, and Porter just guilty of over pitching on that occasion. Don't forget you can follow all the text updates today as well if you've got us open in maybe one of your web browsers, and you can go on the BBC Sport website as Porter comes in once again, and a full toss this time, which Bell Drummond doesn't time at all, off the toe of the bat, which he's now expecting, and there is no run. Yes, if you go to the cricket pages on the BBC Sport website, you'll see the live feed, all the county updates on there today, so you'll get all the news and views from around the country. Adam Williams and James Law are in charge of that today on the BBC Sport website. It's a great service. You can keep updated with what's going on elsewhere, get some pictures as well from grounds around the country as this county season gets underway. Porter coming in again with 3 slips into Bell Drummond, who's trying to tuck that one away down the leg side. A diving stop away to the left hand side, and there's no run. 4 without loss then after Kent won the toss and elected to bat. Just going in to do this update now for BBC Essex News at 11 AM. Well, a very good morning to you from the county ground in Chelmsford, Nick, where we have some county cricket. It's been a long old wait, hasn't it? And the news from here is that Kent have won the toss in this opening bobble at the end of the first over of the day. He's conceded 1 boundary so far, so Kent are 4 without loss. The Essex team today: Nick Brown, Sir Alistair Cook, Tom Westley, Varun Chopra. Feroz Kushi, the youngster, comes into the middle order. Ryan Tenderscarter, now the former captain, Adam Wheater, Simon Harmer, Sam Cook, Jamie Porter and Matt Quinn. So as I say, we are underway here. We have some county cricket. We've had to wait 4 months for it. Beautiful weather we have here. End of the first over here, Kent 4 without loss. So as you heard then, that's the end of the first over of that one scoring shot, a boundary mid-off fence by the skipper Daniel Bell Drummond, and Jordan Cox, who's Bell Drummond's opening partner, will take his first balls of the day. So at BBC Essex Sport if you want to drop a tweet, and essex.sport@bbc.co.uk on the emails. Those communications are open throughout the day.
it was a couple of performances at the back end of the season that basically forced Kent's hand. He got 10 wickets in the match against Nottinghamshire and a quick-fire half-century in that game, and then went to Yorkshire the week after, hit a double 100, and suddenly Kent were fielding questions from us saying, surely you've got to give him a new deal now, and they decided, yeah, we do.
Porter is in again to start his second over of the day from the Hayes close end. Just pushed up the side for no run. 5 loss is the score. Kent winning the toss today, reminded him, and batting. Just ourselves at this end of the ground in the broadcast box today. There's a couple of match officials in the box away to our left hand side. The written press have been moved from the box, which is to our left. They're over in some of the hospitality boxes over the other side of the ground. There's Porter's in once again, and that's allowed to go past with no run. And other than that, match officials, coaching staff, ground staff, and unfortunately the stand's empty. We were sort of hoping that maybe after the first round of games we might get some spectators in, but yesterday's news, Ben, means that we'll live for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's a bit of a disappointing one, I'm sure, for spectators that were going to go to games today in particular, but also for fans of teams that might be going to those grounds soon.
Porter in. Oh, and that is striking the front pad of Cox this time. Porter seemed more interested than anybody else. Umpire firm pick of the head, and there is no run.
Yeah, was it maybe a high? Jordan Cox was that gesturing to Drummond up the other end that he might like to scamper through for a leg by. But some early threat, as you would expect from both Jamie Porter and Sam Cook. Quality of the bowling from these two.
Umpires today, Neil Bainton and Benjamin Debenham. Porter is in again, searching as Cox pushes out to the offside again, and there is no run. Ball tossed into Adam Wheat. Everyone going to get to the ball here, and this is the next thing as well. No saliva on the ball, which if you've ever played cricket, it might sound like a nasty habit to those who don't, but if you play cricket and you're used to just licking the tongue, rubbing it onto the ball and getting that shine, that's going to be a habit hard to get rid of, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And if they do that by accident, do we have to get the disinfectant out and the alcohol and gel and wipe the ball? Is that the protocol?
Porter in again, to Cox very upright and stands. He's driving this time, getting inside edge on it. He goes down to the man at long leg, and they come through for a single. Slightly sketchy from Cox, trying to bring out the booming right, which didn't quite happen without loss.
Of course, I think to get those every 6 overs was certainly the way they were doing it during the warm. Matt Cole, my colleague, and I were trying to come up with various names other than the alcohol, hand gel, hand sanitizer stoppage. So we went for gel break in the end.
Yeah, we'll go through a few of the regulations of the Bob Willis Trophy, because there's a few things that have changed from the normal county championship. Porter comes in once again to Bill Drummond's crouched stance. He has no ball, is signalled. Driven out to the onside for no addition from the bat. Electronic scoreboard in action, away to our left hand side. The smaller scoreboard over the far side, which is sort of tacked on to the end of the 30 suites, not working at the moment. Porter turns in the distance at the Hayes close end, running in towards us now. There's a stiffish breeze blowing across the ground today as well. Porter is in once again, and Bell Drummond just playing very correctly defensively back down the pitch. End of the over, 3 gone, and Kent having won the toss, 8 without loss.
Yeah, looks a good wicket so far. Both these batsmen settling into things, but a decent start from both Sam Cook and Jamie Porter. Cook in particular was extremely miserly in the week. In the warm-up game, barely went for
pitch in that effectively deciding day last year. It will be carried out this season.
Yeah, it very much feels like a different competition, just in the sense that teams with, I think, different expectations of what this season's going to bring.
Cook in to Bell Drummond driving into the ground. It bounces up and over the head of Sam Cook, and they'll take at least two here. It's running away quite speedily over this dry outfield, and they have just kept it down to the 2, and it goes up to 15 without loss. We want to pick up a bit of commentary after this.
Yeah, no problem.
It's just the two of us today. Maybe we don't get too bored with our voices. Essex.sport@bbc.co.uk if you want to email, at BBC Essex Sport on Twitter. And anyway, the Kent fans, if they don't want to write the word Essex, if it's anathema to them, Ben, how they can get in touch.
We had the one or two that braved our Kent email addresses during the week from across the bridge.
Cook into Bell Drummond. Oh, big shout for LBW here, and he's gone. Well, Cook's radar's been slightly out in his first over. He just seemed to be heading a little bit leg side, but he's got a straight one there, and Bell Drummond caught plumb in front, and the first wicket of the day falls. Kent are 15 for 1. Bell Drummond is LBW to Sam Cook for 6.
Absolutely zero hesitation there from the umpire. Bell Drummond just a jump forward on the front foot, or it was the pace. Just a little bit late on the shot. Ball thudded into his pads, and finger went up straight away. Sam Cook was immediately confident, and for Kent that blows. I've already spoken about the lack of experience in batting lineup, or the lack of key personnel, and Bell Drummond's one of those that they were going to have to potentially rely on to get runs if they are going to set a competitive total, and it looked in fairly decent touch thus far. But Cook strikes then. Bell Drummond on his way for 6, and Kent 15 for 1 here at Chelmsford.
12th man is on to bring a little drink out to Jordan Cox. 12th man has got his mask on. Hand sanitisers required when you entered the ground today. Temperature taken as well. And filling in forms just to check you're okay to enter the ground and do your job of work. All the players as well. Even when the players aren't here, they have to send in their temperatures to Essex as well. It's one of the protocols which has been brought in. Obviously they're all in their various bubbles as well at the moment. So the first wicket of the day falls, and Kent are 15 for 1, and taking guard is Jack Leaning, scoring his mark into the pitch as well. A bit more cloud cover just coming overhead now, but we are set fair for a full day's play. There's a nice breeze, cooling breeze, blowing across the ground too, not the intense heat that we had yesterday. Tomorrow is also okay. Monday doesn't look great if we're being honest, but that can all change. Sam Cook then is into Jack Leaning for his first ball, and Leaning is playing and missing at that one, and that is the end of the over. A successful one for Sam Cook. Kent 15 for 1.
Oh, that was a beauty. Really good couple of deliveries from Sam Cook. Kent under pressure early on. Did expect that Essex would strengthen their lineup from the warm-up game in the week, and of course Simon Harmer in the side, and has previously caused Kent a lot of bother in the county championship games we had last season. So with an even more experienced lineup, Kent can't really afford to lose too many wickets early on and against the Essex team attack, knowing that Harmer is still to come. Here's Jamie Porter there, in and bowling to Jordan Cox, who pushes this one back up the pitch, plays defensively. In terms of this being a different county chap, a different in the Bob Willis Trophy, as you were mentioning, Glenn. A lot of the chat from the Kent coach, or the bowling coach Simon Cook, who was doing some of the press duties in the week, was talking about opportunities for players. As Porter is in once again. Full delivery, which Cox drives back down the ground. This should go all the way for 4, I suspect. It won't be caught. In truth, it looks as if he was perhaps trying to go a little bit straight to the drive and ended up slightly dragging it to the right of the ball, enough on it to take it all the way to the boundary. So Cox to 11, Kent's 19 for 1.
He miscued a couple of those drives earlier on this morning, but the last couple he's got right out of the middle.
Here he comes once more. In and bowling Porter, or playing a miss off the back foot, and then a miss from the wicketkeeper as well. Actually, Wheater has fumbled it. Alistair Cook's had to move around to gather the ball. Yeah, Simon Cook also said they're almost picking a Kent team for this competition with 12 months. It's a chance for some players to get a top level experience really, and to keep improving and make sure that Kent are a better side when the county championship in its fullness resumes in 2021, as this one is left alone.
It's better
By Jordan Cox against Fleming from Jamie Porter, but not sucked into the potential occasion. I don't think I read out our contact details today. It's kentcricket@gmail.com or at BBC Kent Sport on Twitter. So if you want to get in touch, those are the ways to do it. I'll speak to myself and what's the Glenn Speller alongside me. Porter with 3 slips in the gully and bowling driven, that is much better from Jordan Cox. 100% where he meant to execute the ball, the drive. In fact, 3 covers and away for 4 runs. His score moves on up to 23 for 1, or is it 27 for 1? I have to learn how quick the scoreboard is at various different grounds.
You see, the one opposite us, which is normally in action, the smaller of the 2 scoreboards here, you always know he's 1 ball behind. There's always 1 ball behind. Unfortunately, that's not working today.
The one at Catherine, I think, is lightning quick. Here's Porter bowling again to Cox. This is leg side, and there's an appeal for a strangle, and Cox has gone. And he just looks on with disappointment that, having hit a couple of boundaries in the over, he's then just attempted to flick a ball around the corner. In fairness, a poor delivery from Jamie Porter outside the leg stump, but he's managed to get a little nibble on it, and it was smartly taken by the wicketkeeper Adam Wheater, moving away to his left. And both openers removed by the 2 Essex opening bowlers, Porter and Cook, and Cox departs.
I was just about to say that we were beginning to see what Jordan Cox's strength was, which was driving, because as I say, having miscued the first couple, he'd really got his eye in and played a couple of really eye-catching drives out to the cover boundary, and then on that occasion he's just looking to flick it. It's what you see with every batsman, isn't it? I was a ball on the leg side, that's a freebie, I'll just flick that one away, and either I'll get a single down to the long leg or go down to the boundary for 4, and he's not quite got enough on it. He stood there for a while and didn't change head of the umpire, just looked down at the ground. Now, whether that was disappointment in himself or disappointment with the decision, only he will know. But Essex were up very, very quickly and very adamantly. But as you say, everyone said that's the worst way as a batsman, apart from being run out, to get out.
I think you're right. I think it was disappointment in himself. Both he and Bell Drummond were timing the ball pretty sweetly. I think the wicket out there looks good. The outfield is lightning quick. So from Cox's point of view, I think the disappointment was mainly the fact that he got out to a delivery that was going down the leg side. In a one-day game you miss those and it's a wide, but he's played a shot and been caught behind as Cook is in, bowling to Jack Leaning after the wicket was taken on the final ball of the over. So the batsman number 4 is Ollie Robinson. So Kent have just switched things up slightly. Heineken opened the batting for Kent in the week in the warm-up game, but he, on the card, has dropped down to number 5, so means the likes of Cox leaning in at 3 and Ollie Robinson in at 4 have jumped up a position in the batting order. Here comes Sam Cook past the umpire, on a full delivery. Forward comes Leaning to cover up and push the ball into the offside for a dot ball. Ollie Robinson, having got 100 in the week, being confident mood.
Jane Quinn on the Sport, 10 PM in some cricket, this Chrissy says, and Jane, you're probably going to want to listen on a little bit longer because your son will be entering the bowling attack at some point. More on that in a few moments.
Here comes Sam Cook in again. Oh, that's a good delivery. Again, Kent batsman pushing forward, playing a missing, in this instance Jack Leaning.
Because as regular listeners to the Essex coverage will know, Jane out in New Zealand is the mum of Matt Quinn, who's in the Essex bowling today, in the Essex side, so he'll be entering the fray at some point. The Grumbler as well, morning to you, says we all expect empty grounds for the entirety of the Bob Willis Trophy now, but when I listen to at BBC Essex Sport, this is what will be in my mind's eye.
Cook, short ball, pulled away and straight to the fielder. And another wicket falls for a Kent batsman, and in truth, from not the best of deliveries. It's not a pitched up delivery that's moved away and swung and beaten the outside edge. Jordan Cox has flicked a leg side delivery for the wicketkeeper, and now Jack Leaning has pulled a short ball from Sam Cook straight to the wicket. And Kent, in spot of bother after winning the toss and choosing to bat first here at Essex. Cook has himself caught by Cushy, and Leaning goes for a duck.
As you say, he could have hit that anywhere, absolutely anywhere in the onside, and he's thinking that's 4 runs, and he's not really hit it with any timing, and he's just popped it straight to Feroz Cushy. He's only got to move about a foot to his left hand side and just take a very, very comfortable catch. Just back that tweet from Grumbler. He said, "This is what will be in my mind's eye, a full county ground." He sent us a lovely video of the county ground and how well populated it is. I mean, Essex, you know, for a championship game on a Saturday, there'd be over 2,000 in here, particularly with the weather how it is set. And for a midweek game, you can always expect 1,500 rising towards 2,000, because they're such a well-supported county, as indeed Kent are as well, and it just provides for a fantastic atmosphere. No doubt the majority of the fans who would have been in here would be enjoying what they're seeing so far. There might have been a little bit of a groan when they heard that Kent had won the toss, because the way things were set and the weather, it looks like a batting day, but 2 disappointing shots and 1 caught plum LBW has Essex right on top here.
So Heine Kuhn into the crease, and well, he's missed 5.4 balls, despite on Monday opening the batting for Kent. Here he is in at number 5, and he's already in at the crease. So Sam Cook once more. There's a short leg fielder that's gone in for Kuhn as well. As he clips this away, and well, it was a few yards to the left of that fielder, but it was slightly uppish.
Yeah, I think he clipped it, and I think possibly caught the inside leg as he clipped that clip away, sort of lobbed it up, and the fielders were interested, but it was always well wide of that man at short leg. He's short leg, he's in close, he's got the helmet on, but he's a couple of strips away from Heino Kuhn.
Sam Cook once more. 2 Heino, second ball he's faced, pushes it into the onside. Slightly more confidently played. End of the other. Kent struggling. 23, fresh new batsman at the crease. A wicket maiden for Sam Cook as well. And certainly not the start that the visiting side would have wanted, particularly after winning the toss and seemingly in batting friendly conditions with the sunny skies overhead, and looks from where we're sat a good pitch out there as well. Put pressure on for the Kent middle order already.
An email in from Stephen in Hockley as well, which we'll get to in a few moments' time. essex.sport@bbc.co.uk if you want to join us on the emails.
Here's Porter in, bowling to Robinson. There's a big shout for LBW.
Looks a bit high.
Did look a tad high. I wonder if it hit on the top of the front pad or not quite 5 pad height, but at least.
Porter had been guilty of over-pitching in his first couple of overs, just looking to find his range. Last couple of overs, he's definitely found that, and it's the Jamie Porter that we know, aiming at the top bump, ball after ball after ball, so disciplined, and that's what's brought him all this success over the last few years.
Again, 23 for 3 as Porter in again, and driven square of the wicket by Ollie Robinson, and gets off the mark and it's away for 4 runs out towards the point. I'm just going to briefly do an update for BBC Radio Kent.
Thank you, Ben. He'll join us in the next few moments. essex.sport@bbc.co.uk, or you can tweet us at BBC Essex Sport as well. Wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying the return of Live Ground. You love to be watching it for normality for the summer. Returns at the end of his run from the Hayes close end, running in towards us now. 3 slips and a gully, and that one's pushed out through the covers, and that one not 100% timed, but won't quite reach the rope with it. No, there's a diving save there to prevent it going over the rope for 4, and they'll pick up 3 runs comfortably there, and the score moves up to 30-3. Wickets fell very quickly this morning after a solid enough start from these two openers, Eldrum and Cox, but they've since been dismissed. Bell Drummond LBW to Sam Cook for 6 when the score was 15, and then Cox caught Wheater bowled Porter for 15 with the score on 23 after Leaney had gone for a duck caught by Cushy. Off the bowling of Cook as well, both those falling with the score on 23. They scamper through for a quick single here from this next one. It's just dropped out into the offside, 31 for 3, and Heino Kuhn is off and running with his first runs of the day as well. Stephen on the emails then from Hockley says, great to hear you back. I wasn't too sure we'd get anything this year, but delighted to see and hear some action. Pity I can't be along in person. I guess yesterday's news about the deferral of piloting crowds at sporting events makes it even more unlikely. Sport was in again, that's just pushed out for no run, but it will happen until next year. Astonishing to think the season will end in October. Surely never played as late as that before, says Stephen. I hope you've all well. When you look at the weather these days, and you always think you can play the first couple of weeks of October, it's pretty much like the whole of September, isn't it? You do get some really fine and lovely weather, and maybe just extending the season would maybe enable them in the normal season just to space out some of the games and take the workload off some of the players. Porter in again, and that's allowed to go through for no run once again. End of the over, and Kent having won the toss elects to bat 31-3. Ollie was unbeaten on Heino Kuhn, just a single to his name. Porter 1 for 23 from his 4 over star, and Sam Cook 2 for 8 from the 3 that he has bowled as well. Just took the respective bowlers a couple of overs just to get their eye in, just find their range, but they've done that with some exacting results since that point. I just pointed in the direction of a couple of interviews which you might want to listen to during the interval of today's game. Go to bbc.co.uk/BBC Essex. Got some interviews up there with the new Essex captain Tom Wesley and the former England captain Sir Alistair Cook up there, looking ahead to the season. As Cook starts his 4th over of the morning. He's in now and bowling, and that one with a drop of the hands from Kuhn is allowed to go through to the wicketkeeper Adam Wheater. bbc.co.uk/BBC. There's some other cricket interviews up there as well. The top leads back this summer has been interviewing nicknames from down the years. Not only there as well, we've got some lovely interviews up there at the moment. The former Essex captain Mark Patini is up there. Robin Hobbs, always very entertaining. Also, they're the longer form interviews which you might want to catch up with at some point. As Cook is in again, that's well wide, and Kuhn just allows that one to pass through. So that's bbc.co.uk/BBC Essex. Lots of cricket interviews up there as well. One more advert for you is the return of Around the Wickets, BBC Essex's cricket programme between 2 and 4 today. Lots more cricket chat. We'll talk club cricket as well, because the club cricket season's been back underway for what, 2 or 3 weeks now, hasn't it? That was one of the last sports to actually be given the go-ahead to resume as Cook turns at the end of his run and is away and bowling to Heino Kuhn. That one's at full and pushed out into the offside, and they very quickly decide to go through for the single, and the score moves on to 32-3. Ben's back with us.
Essex supporters will be pleased with the email that I've just received on kentcricket@gmail.com from Philip Bay. Philip says Essex on table with first point of the season.
There's a lot to go.
They may not relinquish that and can reproduce their form of last season, and already these two bowlers, Porter and Cook, doing so.
Cook is in and bowling to Robinson, again allowed to pass through, well wide, through to Wheater, no run.
Another email from Hopkins saying, how could we be bored? Thank goodness, real cricket is back. TMS is a paltry substitute for the joy of listening radio station for your team. What could be better than your team completely stuffing it up against the opposition? Essex listeners will be less familiar with this sensation than the Kent fans.
Cook's at the end of his run again, away from us with number 16 on his back, in and bowling to Robinson. That's a full delivery, and again he's interested because no wood on that and through would have been an interesting shout for LBW. It's driven up off and there's no runs again.
I'm still convinced that this is a good batting track, although the score...
Well, you look at 2 of the dismissals and nothing to do with the pitch whatsoever, were they?
And just the way that if you time the ball, the boundary that Cox hit straight, he didn't really get hold of it fully, and the ball raced away the fence. There's boundaries to be had if the bowling is just a fraction off.
Cook is in once again, pushed out defensively to the offside by Robinson, and there is no run. Some big news at the end of the over there. Kent on 32-3. News coming in from the World County Cricket. Surrey have announced the signing of Jamie Oak from Somerset, and he will be over on a 3-year deal at the end of the 2020 season. So Jamie Overton departing Somerset to join Surrey. That's big news. certainly as far as Somerset are concerned. Obviously they've got a few eye-catching players down there, and other counties have been hovering around, but Jamie Overton is the first one to make the move. You want to pick up commentary then?
Yeah, go for it. Here comes Porter. Running in and bowling once again. Driven down the ground. There you go. Just if bowlers are not quite in their areas, and that one was over pitched from Porter. As a batsman, all you really have to do is get a little on it. There is a boundary for Coonan, and Porter was upset with himself. Looking to get himself fired up, and yeah, as you say, Glenn, that's a statement signing from Surrey, who already added Liam Plunkett to their bowling ranks in the off-season. Jamie Overton, one of the best fast bowlers on the county scene that hasn't got England honours, has just wanted to aim for, and again smashed away by Heino Kuhn for 4 runs. I said that you only have to half hit it. He's walloped that as hard as he could, but all along the ground and away for 4 runs. So the Kent score accelerates on to 40 for 3.
Yeah, I was mentioning Jamie Porter in his previous over about he seemed to have range top off stumper, just gives you a pitch on 2 occasions. I know not really backwards and coming forwards to take those runs. Yes, so Jamie Overton off to Surrey. More on that in just a couple of moments.
Here comes Porter. As you say, back of length was giving him far more success. That one is a little bit short. Do you have to just be wary, because sometimes back of length can be short to Heino due to his willingness to get the cut and try on that occasion. All falling into the ground.
Surrey over a couple of years or so had been looking at developing their own players and bringing their own players through, but it seems like they might be back to the Surrey of old, of looking around the county scene and seeing who they can open the chequebook to tempt. And he might be the last man to stand this summer.
Here's Porter then. Turned away off his hip, quick single for Heino Kuhn. There's a hit, and
yeah, he's hit him.
The throw from Cushy has hit him in the helmet as Kuhn dives for his ground. I think he seems to be okay, and a quickly rushed single. I think he's electric, but
it struck him on the shoulder and then bounced into his head, and then come off his helmet eventually.
It wasn't the full force of the throw that he took in the grill. At least. Here's Porter again. Kent moving on to 41 for 3. Here on BBC Sports Online. Short ball. Robinson ducks underneath it from Porter. And we've got still delivery remaining over. I did read something the other day actually that there's 100 county players that are out of contract for next season, so I suspect that Overton move could well be the first of a number of moves. Of course, Sean Dixon has already agreed to move to Durham next year, and as a result Kent negotiated with them to let him move immediately on loan. So he's another Kent batsman that's missing from last season's lineup. Short ball, Robinson trying to get up on his toes, but ends up only just pushing it a yard or 2 in front of where he was. So end of the over, Kent 41 for 3 with Kuhn on to 11 and Robinson 7.
Dan on the Twitter at BBC Essex Sports says, what's the chance, if any, of the away game at Arundel for Essex being a pilot game for spectators to be allowed in? It's gorgeous to have you back, by the way. It makes the ironing bearable. I'm not sure anything makes ironing bearable. So Essex are due to play Hampshire at Arundel Castle on 22nd of August. Now, the announcement yesterday from the government was a couple of weeks, wasn't it? They were just holding off spectators into sporting events for a couple of weeks. So yeah, that will be then the week beyond that. So there's a possibility, but clearly we have to wait and see.
Sam Cook with 3 slips in a gully. A short leg as well. Kuhn defends into the onside, and that short leg does pick the ball up. Mid on and mid off as well. And a man down at fine leg. Underneath the lid.
Yeah, the former skipper.
Is the contrary to what England seem to do. Whoever is the youngest player in the team seems to get the gig. I think it's Ollie Pope at the moment. Whereas Essex have got arguably their most senior player under the helmet.
Certainly in age terms.
Here comes Sam Cook once again. Kuhn just keeps his bat raised behind him, waiting for the ball, as he just lets this one go. A couple of other emails on kentgridemail.com. Philip Bailey pointing out Harry put it on earlier, saying, is he injured? Unfortunately, our news translation going from one side of the ground isn't as good as it perhaps normally is, so that news is a little bit slow filtering through to us, so it'll be something I'll endeavour to find out for you. This one's a full delivery on the pad, which Kent will scramble through for a leg by as Wheatfield, wicketkeeper, moves away to his left. And then Mike Hill as well said, back in, should have been there with you guys today, but locked down here in September, so going to miss the entire season. I mean, that's quite a place to be, locked down and away from the cricket mic, so I hope the the weather, etc. is treating you well. Sam Cook in again, pushed off the back foot by Ollie Robinson, and a comfortable single to the left of the fielder at mid-off, so can't move.
Arrived then, cricket's here, it's raining at Durham. Durham against Yorkshire, 12 without loss, and
I'm fairly sure Martin Emerson says it never rains in Durham, so I think he might be telling Porky's, our Durham colleague, BBC County Cricket commentator. I might send him a tweet.
Don't poke the line.
Full delivery from Cook, and Coon just wasn't quite committing forward to that stroke, and looks like he was hit on the back thigh pad. There was a stifled appeal from the Essex players.
As well, you can follow all the county games throughout the summer with the live text on the BBC Sport website from the guys there do. You can sort of pick up news and snippets from elsewhere and hear what the commentators are saying at the various grounds as well.
Sam Cook in bowls, and this time Cook makes sure he gets well forward. I think the bat was even out in front of his pad as he defended it back up the pitch. The over Kent 43 which touches on up. It's a great average to Kent, enjoying the commentaries. Have a great day, and he's also put something in brackets saying you better read this out. So, of course, I'm not going to read that bit out, Lewis, but thanks anyway.
I mentioned that merely about the live text service because they're putting up there throughout the morning the ones to watch that all various commentators have picked out from around the counties. I'm not going to blow my own trumpet, but I picked out Sam Cook. I know he's been with us a couple of years now and burst onto the scene in 2017, but they've just put it up there now, and he's taken 2 wickets this morning. I wonder if they timed it, but let's put that one up now.
I didn't pick the Kent one, which has just gone up there.
Was it young Matt Cole?
It was, and he is the on-site man that selected Ollie Robinson.
Oh, I'm just reading that now.
So, that's pauses in the bowling to him. I was about to say, gets up to the next ball, it's all Matt Cole's ball, but he instead pushes it out towards cover and gets a single to get off strike. 44 for 3 after the early loss. WW to Sam Cook for 6, that's when the score was on 15. Cox hit 2 boundaries in the over against Jamie Porter, but then got a delivery outside leg stump that his eyes would have been lighting up and thinking, I'll clip this away, it's 4 more for me, and he managed to be caught behind with Willis taking a good catch away to his left, leaning then the next over a short ball from Sam Cook. Should have hit it to the boundary, and instead hit it straight to mid-wicket. Cook goes back, pushes it out towards the gully fielder, angling it down into the ground. This head building things.
Yeah, nice job just steadying things down, hitting the ball with Robinson. Another off the production. It is opening 9 years of good recent history.
Yes, certainly so. Sam Billings, the current club captain, has donned the gloves for England. Wasn't in the one-day game the other day, of course, as Porter again in the bowling. This one left alone by Heineken outside the off stump. So Billings, Robinson, and then Jordan Cox has kept England on 19. So really the best batsmen here on the staff, wicket keepers, and then Adam Rouse reached. In fact, this week that announcement was made, his retirement.
Was that a surprise?
In a way, I think he's down the pecking order at the moment at Kent, and perhaps it's a decision from Adam to go retire rather than go elsewhere. This one off the back foot, Coon plays it nicely through the covers for a couple of runs. Rouse was at the signing rather than off the production line as such, but yeah, I think it was a nice chance to sort of perhaps see him trying to compete and get a team. And in recent times, for understudy when it was Sam Billings, excellent gloveman, so sound and reliable behind the stumps, and as Porter bowls again, Heineken, appeal for LBW as it pops away into the leg side. I wonder if that was slightly high, slightly leg side, maybe even a little bit of bat involved. Yeah, looking at Rouse, and I'd say lots of contributions from behind the stumps, and I think he was averaging around about 27 as well, and it was the semi-final against Worcestershire, the one-day cup when King got to the final a couple of years ago, which they eventually lost to Hampshire, but they got runs in the Worcestershire game and helped them rebuild and get O-line through to the final. Was driven away for 4 runs. Jamie Forford just over pitching.
He's just been bowling back of a length Porter, and whether we forgot was just, let's just be full count, oh we can still play a shot.
Yes. 50 up again then with the final ball of the 11th Open, despite coming in at number 5, not opening today, has currently, I think with that boundary, gone to the Kent top score here, now on 17-9 up the other end for Ollie Robinson. But yeah, just to finish on Rouse, I think a lot of really nice tributes from some of his colleagues. I think above all, beyond his predictability, he is an absolute top lad, really liked member of the dressing room, a thoroughly polite young man, and I'm sure he's going to excel in whatever he chooses to do next. But I think he is sticking around with the team this season, helping out with a bit of coaching. I think he has qualifications in the S&C department as well.
Sam Cook starts another over from the river end, in now, and met with the firm straight bat of Ollie Robinson, 50 for 3. The run rate's 4.5, so they're going right foul again. Lost the wickets into the bargain as well. Essex.sport, bbc.co.uk, BBC Essex Sports, on Twitter. KentCricket@gmail.com, I think Ben said.
Yes, just before those guys, you've got Geraint Jones, a recent England wicketkeeper as well, and then back to the Alan Knotts of the 70s in the past.
Here's Cook into Robinson once again. Robinson coming down the pitch there, took a couple of steps down. Cook saw him coming, just pulled his length back a bit, pushed out to the offside for no run.
It's one thing that the head coach staff and I think Caddy staff and Phil have noted in recent years, that in terms of young bowlers, like Thomas, there's not been many of their own homegrown bowlers that have come through and been a success in recent years, but wicketkeepers, not a problem. Got them in droves. Ryan Davis left to go to Durham to get more opportunities.
Cooking again to Robinson, full delivery, which is met with the full firm face of the bat. Lovely on drive that one, and it's being accompanied to the boundary, and no more than that. Lovely footed bat from Robinson. He got 13, 54-3.
Yeah, shot of the day from Ollie Robinson, and showing that he really is a good touch. As runs at Canterbury, different type of wicket here. They did comment on how it was a pretty slow wicket, and I think that perhaps did for some of the Essex top order batsmen in the early stages of the day.
Cook's response to being driven for 4. He's in now, and a ball outside of off stump, which again Robinson's looking to drive. Almost plays on in the end, but there's no run.
Yeah, I think Cook perhaps thought he might have done from the beginning of his reaction. He was on a full delivery. So yeah, an adjustment for the batsman to make in terms of this wicket compared to the one that they played against Essex on Canterbury earlier on in the week.
England in action, that second one-day international later on today, 2 o'clock that starts against Ireland. First one went very much to form. Cookies in again to Robinson, 3 slips, and Shotty has played very correctly out to mid-off, where for Rose Cushy has taken a catch this morning on his debut. Tosses the ball back to Adam Wheaton, no addition to the score, 54 for 3.
Yeah, Kent fans will have been pleased to see Sam Billings, their club captain, in the runs for England in that game. He saw this last year due to injury, and then got 3 back-to-back championship at the end of the season, so nice to see him back in the England side and looking full of confidence and playing those ball strokes and reverse sweeps.
Cook in. Robinson able to just help one round the corner this time, down to long leg for a single, 55 for 3, and that is the end of the over. This is just running through some scores elsewhere. This group, Kent 55 for 3, Surrey against Middlesex at the Oval, where Middlesex are 33 for 1, and down at Hove, Sussex up against Hampshire, Sussex 41 for 1. In the Northern Group, Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire 47 with an out loss, Durham, Yorkshire, Durham 12 without a loss, but it's raining there as the players just come to take some drinks after the first 52 minutes of play. Lancashire 34 for 1 against Leicestershire, and then when you come to the upper Gloucestershire, 26 for 1 against Worcestershire, Somerset Banting against Glamorgan 22 without loss, and Warwickshire, Northamptonshire, Northants 20 for 2 at the start of that match as well. So just over 50 minutes have been played. Players taking on board some liquids, A decent enough start certainly from an Essex point of view. Having lost the toss, there might well have been a groan go around the dressing room because they might have been fearing a long day of just chasing leather. There's nothing to say that might not still happen, but they'll have been boosted by taking those 3 wickets in relatively quick succession, but these two have settled things down now, Ben.
Yeah, they have, and they've cashed in on a few over-pitch deliveries from Jamie Porter. Rare for Sam Cook to do likewise, but even he's gone for a boundary in his previous over. Maybe be having a bowling change at the far end after 6 overs of Jamie Porter. In fact, we've had one, haven't we? It's Quinn into the attack, and in fact, did I miss the fact that he bowled the previous over? I may well have done. He's put on the scoreboard, it says 1 over for 7 for Matt Quinn, so...
Quinn's in and bowling now, that's pushed out to the offside for no run.
That'll be me not paying attention, apologies. Apologies to Jamie Porter and to Matt Quinn and to Mrs. Linton from in New Zealand.
Look, it's a brand new season. We're out of practice. And also we don't have all the information readily available to us either. Everybody else scores and everyone else is right at the other end of the ground. We haven't got the scoreboard working opposite us either. That's around the corner to our left, so it's training our necks around the corner. Quinn's in again, and that's driven, but a diving save. Extra cover prevents that going away to the boundary.
It was very kind of you to their mistake, Glenn. Apart from that, I saw missing Blake a matter of days ago, and somewhat those various reasons that I might have. So there we go.
That must have been a bit strange when you've got batsmen coming in for another go during the innings.
Yeah, because it was coming on the scoreboard as someone else, and I mean, it's definitely surely for that person coming in again.
Quinn's in again, pushed out the offside, and bisecting the man at backward point and at cover, and they jog through for a comfortable couple of runs. Robinson goes up to 16 and the score to 57 for 3. Stifford Blue on Twitter says, regarding the match, John Farragut, the Essex chairman, has said there will be no spectators at all of the games from Essex. None of them will be able to go, so that pretty much rules out Essex fans being able to see cricket at the moment.
I think Kent's point of view, potentially one of the Oval games, Surrey might get the nod at the back end of the competition.
Quinn into Robinson, full, almost Yorker length, and just jabbing down on that one out to cover again. There's no run. We've got a nice stream available this. You can listen to our commentary and what streams available via the Essex.
Yeah, Martin Shaw on kentcricket@gmail.com saying we're not quite hearing every word on the live stream, but getting most of it. Of course, you can always go old school and mute the live stream, get us up on another by the BBC Sport website. Says how positive Orlando potentially just case rotate spinners. Kent have indicated that they may well do.
Quinn in again, short and just dropping his hands on that one on that occasion. Robinson thought about the pull, thought better of it, no run.
Not probably asked in terms of wanting to rotate the seam, Murray Fobbs one, considering the little bit of joy he had against the Essex openers, for example, in the week, but Ivan Thomas, the man that they've gone for, Kent, and great to see Ivan in the team and playing a competitive fixture for Kent once again after the long absence he's had with injuries and missing the whole last season.
Quinn is in and bowling, and off the back foot this time Robinson forcing away, and managed to come round from mid-off to make a sliding stop. They pick up a single, end of another over, and Kent are 59 for 3. 58-3. Have you got an update to a midday, Ben?
I do, yeah.
Well, carry on commentary, and then you can pick up off the back of the midday news. Two batsmen just having mid-wicket conversation. Be very pleased. Last wicket fell, well, the last 2 wickets fell with the score on 23. So these two have added 35 runs. Sam Cook is going to continue from this river end.
Suspect maybe his last over before they think about changing it. This will be his 7th. Generally, we will see shorter spells for bowlers.
Well, Cook has just brushed his hand through his hair and he's turning and running and coming in now to Coon. Coon again just pushes through the line of the ball. Didn't give it the full biff up, but will pick up 2 runs, maybe 1 for the throw. No. dissuaded from that as the throw comes in, and they pick up another couple of runs. Do Kent and scores on to 60 for 3. Robinson is 19.
Yeah, nicely played. Didn't try and overhit it there. Ollie Robinson up the order at number 4, as we mentioned earlier on.
19 from 25 deliveries now, Robinson, so strike rate looks good as well. As Cook is turning and is into him once again, and that's just played defensively up to mid-on for no run on this occasion. Being done there by Jamie Porter, who has a shorter spell than Sam Cook. Other bowling options for Essex, as well as Matt Quinn, Jamie Porter and Sam Cook. Simon Harmer, who can probably be introduced towards lunch just for a little look, as Cook is in once again, and that's brushed away down the leg side and down to the long leg fence for 4 leg byes, and it's 64-4-3. Harmer looks there as well. Fine tender Scarter is in there. We've seen his bowling less since the years have advanced. Turned 40 at the end of June did Ryan Tender-Scarter. The captain who's overseen those 2 championship successes and the promotion from Division 2 of the county championship as well. Simon Harmer skippered the T20 Blast victory last season. He's the T20 captain. As Cook is in once again and bowling to Robinson. Pushed defensively up to mid-off for no run. Colours been scudding across the sky here at Chelmsford throughout the day. They're not threatening clouds in any way, shape or form, but we've got the majority of blue sky. Aeroplane with its jet stream just making its way above us as well. Well, if it wasn't above us, we'd be in trouble, wouldn't we? As Cook turns at the end of his run and is in once again to Robinson, who's made 19, and that's a full delivery again and pushed forcefully but defensively out to Cutlerfield on the by Baron Chopra, experienced batsman for Essex. Played a lot of white, seemed to be predominantly played white ball cricket watch here, which was what sort of persuaded him that maybe his time at Edgbaston had come to an end, and very much part of all the formats for Essex now. 64 for 3. Cook is in and pushed out and it bisects the man at point, who is Nick Brown, and Baron Chopra at cover, and they're involved in a race at the moment. See who can pull this one up before it hits the rope. It's Brown who does the sliding stop. Chopra's there to back him up. He completes the filling. Robinson goes to 22, and then Kent score up 67 for 3. All the over. The run rate is 05 now, 4.8. The run rate, 14 overs gone. Kent won toss, elected to bat, and we have had an hour's play now, and a very interesting opening hour it's been. 3 wickets to 4, good scoring rate from the batsmen when they got in, so a nice balance to this game. Essex.sport at bbc.co.uk if you want to email, at BBC Essex Sport on the tweets, don't forget. We're available via the BBC Sport website and the app. If you haven't downloaded the app yet on your mobile devices, probably a good idea to do that, because basically it acts like a radio, so if you're heading out about, going for a run or a walk, you can stick the old headphones in. If you're in the car, you can plug it into the car. Quinn, organising himself at the Hayes close end, a little shuffling start that he has to his run, is in and bowling now, and Robinson angles that one away very uppishly, but there's a vacant area at mid-wicket. The man at mid-wicket is 3/4 of the way to the boundary, so he's able to come through for a single, scoring on to 68 for 3 here. That brings Heino Kuhn back down on strike. He's the last few overs. He's made 17. Very uppish shot that one from Robinson on that occasion, but he knew that the man at mid-wicket wasn't there. Interestingly, the man at mid-wicket had now come in quite a way, a good 20 or 30 yards. And Quinn is in once again, bowling to Kuhn, who plays defensively, up to mid-on. A lot better than the defence shot, uppish and interestingly. Essex is Surrey at home starting next Saturday, then they head off to Hove the following Saturday, followed by Arundel the following week, and then here at Chelmsford against Middlesex at the start of September. That one is a Sunday start rather than a Saturday start of the 6th of September and a 10:30 start because we're into September. You've got the Bob Willis Trophy final on the 30th of September at Lords. Quinn is in once again, right on the mark, and Kuhn just plays defensively for no run. And in amongst all that, We've got the T20 Blue will come thick and fast, and Essex will be very that title which they won for the first time last summer. Ben is back from updating the good listeners of BBC Radio Kent. Quinn is at the end of his run, slight moving around of the field. He's in and bowling to Coon once again, and again he's on the mark there, but Coon playing defensively, forced a sliding stop at mid-on, and another double fuse. Good sliding stop. That from Jamie Porter, who just feels the base of his back as he picks himself up. So Gerard joining kept one toss, elected to bat. They've lost 3 wickets, but they moved on to 68. 4-3, 2 wickets for Sam Cook. Those of Beldrum LBW, and Leaney was caught mid-wicket for a duck. The other wicket to fall today, Jordan Cox caught behind the ball and Jamie Porter for 15. Quinn's in again. Coon playing very carefully defensively up to mid-on. 4 straight dot balls now. Quinn just directing that he wants a man taken out of the slip corner here, sending the mid-wicket back to the defence in Ferro's Coochie, and skipper Tom Wesley is in a wide mid-wicket here, strengthening that leg side Essex. So just the 2 slips now. So Alistair Cook and Simon Harmer in there. And Quinn is in again, bowling to Coon, and as we say that, where does Heino Coon strike the ball? To Tom Wesley at short wicket at the end of the over. Good one, Quinn. 6-3, Ben's back with us to pick up commentary.
Game 3. Good over that one from Quinn. Tight stuff. And some shin pads being brought on, which I suspect means we're going to see that man. Sunglasses on, zinc on his nose, and soon to be spinning ball in his hand, Simon Harmer.
Sorry.
I was going to say a man that many Kent batsmen will be having nightmares about after his efforts in the county championship game here last season.
Just a great signing for Essex, very popular member of the team, of the squad, of the club, and very popular, as you can well imagine, with the members and the Essex supporters as well. He's had such an effect on this Essex side, both with bat and ball. He's a good striker of the ball as well in the lower order. That century against Surrey a couple of seasons ago at the end of the summer at the Oval, and you might just be able to pick up on our effects microphone as well the South African brogue as he directs exactly where he wants his men positioned. Tom Wesley, the skipper, can almost leave him to it.
So the shin pads on and tend to scatter under the helmet as Harmer whirls in and bowls to Ollie Robinson as a misfield from the man at cover, but a wide middle there. It's back in to the point as Cook at slip. Short mid-wicket, mid-on. There's a man on the 45 and a man at deep square leg. See Simon Harmer 8th of 98 in the second innings here in the county championship last year. Robinson comes down the pitch and smashes him over the top and into the stand away to our right. So Ollie Robinson, with 6 Simon Harmer's second ball of the season, brings up a half-century stand between him and Heino Coon.
Simon Harmer, he gave the first one a heck of a lot there. That one was slightly flatter, but it looked like Robinson was just Coon was just getting Robinson was just getting his eye in.
Robinson this time just runs it up to the mid-on fielder who's just been pushed back slightly. Thomas Captain moving himself to that stroke from Ollie Robinson. I remember in the first game I saw London, Ollie Robinson got 100 against Warwickshire, and the moment I thought, well, this lad's looking confident or has got a bit about him, is when he did the same thing to Jeetan Patel with all his experience. So he's not afraid to use his feet to the spinner. Heino Coon likes to play shots too. This one just squirms it up towards. But yeah, last season 11 wickets in the match for Simon Harmer here on this ground against Kent in the red ball format. So I'm sure there would have been plenty of chatter as Harmer is in again. Coon goes for a big swipe, into the leg side, and Blazer misses. There was an appeal for a call behind.
I think that was the bat striking the ground. I'm pretty sure it was. I think I just saw a little puff of dust there. But they're clearly going to set out their stall here not to be dominated by Simon Harmer. They don't want him settling into a rhythm, a line and a length, and to be the real dangerous man that he can be.
Here he comes again, bowls to Kuhn. This one he's forward on the front foot and defending into the offside. That clearly is the conversation that Kent have had. We can't just let him bowl and bowl and bowl and tie us in knots, essentially. So Kent are going to look to try and be positive and look to attack Harmer. So his first over, and he's 6 for Ollie Robinson and a single as well. So the Kent wicketkeeper is up to 30. Kuhn on 17 and Kent 75 for 3. And just as you were reading out the card there a moment ago, Glenn, it reminded me of a tweet I've seen from Chris Nash earlier on today, the former Sussex, now Nottinghamshire county cricketer. He said, looking around the counties, lots of debuts in first class cricket today. Special feeling, enjoy every second. Don't be nervous. I got 0 and 0 not out, went at 5 and over my debut. Not easy to beat that. So, one for the likes of Feroz Kushi out there, as Quinn is in the bowling. Robinson just pushing him up towards mid-off. Don't worry too much, you go well, Chris.
Well, you talk about debuts and you talk about county debuts and debuts. One of the most famous in a pair on his test debut, apparently.
He did pretty well on that, didn't he? Pair on debut. That's cricket for you, isn't it? The highs of a debut one moment, and then welcome to international cricket in that instance on another. Quinn, tall action in the bowling to Williamson, who plays softly into the onside.
The reason why I meant that as well is that this week, after this week, was not the 30th of Graham Gooch's 333 into a programme about that, and what a ridiculous game of cricket. I can remember watching it because Lords was under reconstruction at the time, and what a ridiculous game of cricket it was. I think Mohammed Azharuddin for India got a century off, I think it was 87 or 88 balls or something like that. India, to avoid the follow-on with their last wicket, Kapil Dev smashed Eddie Hemmings for 4 successive sixes.
Short ball from Matthew Quinn, ducking underneath Olsen.
And it put Eddie Hemmings, I say, forward defence to avoid the follow-on. He put him into the building site at Lords, and then getting the ball back. He was going to the building site, get the ball back. But it was a ridiculous game of cricket, and England ended up winning because they dismissed India for a really low score in what was a ridiculously high-scoring innings. But Gooch got a century in England's second innings as well.
Extraordinary game. Here's Quinn once more, tall action, bit of bounce as that beats the outside edge of Ollie Robinson's bat through to Adam Wheater, the wicketkeeper.
And there were others in that England side as well. It was a 5-day test match and just runs coming all over the place. That was Gooch's famous summer where he just scored so many runs. I think it was a record at the time for the most runs scored in the English summer. It has been beaten since. But yeah, it was the 30th anniversary of that this week.
2 slips in play for Quinn as he's in and being driven away square of the wicket. A bit of fielding by Varun Chopra. Cover point on the occasion, just throws it back in his hands and keeper. Just 1 delivery remaining in the over. Quinn offers none for 11 thus far.
At BBC Essex Sport, if you want to drop us a tweet, essex.sport@bbc.co.uk. If you'd like to email us, James has tweeted us, more on that in a sec.
Quinn past the umpire in a bowling, driven or defended rather by Robinson, so it will be that maiden. End of the over, Kent 75 for 3.
Early lunch being taken, Durham against Yorkshire, where it's raining, unfortunately, up there in the northeast for them. James on Twitter says, hurrah, cricket is back, but I'm slightly sad I have to listen to this from next door rather than joining you over the fence. Once the cricket season had been announced and that it was going to go ahead, I did see a few messages bumping around saying, does anybody know anybody who lives in one of the flats around the county ground? Because if you look away to our left, over where the popular side of the ground is, there are some flats which have been there a number of years now. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doors actually a balcony from where you're watching the game from. We've got a retirement apartment at the Hayes Close end now as well.
Harmer in the bowling, there's an appeal for LBW. I think that's hit Kuhn on the back leg. He just walks away from the wicket, and I wonder if he was himself fearing for his wicket in that instance. There was a big appeal from the keeper and the bowler.
Possibly leg side, possibly can be the only answer. Yes, we've got this retirement apartment at Hayes Close end now, which gives you a really good view, good panoramic view of all of the ground.
Harmer in once again, forward this time, comes Kuhn defends back down the pitch. I can see a couple of spectators out on their balconies over on the far side. Imagine if there's flats where owners are stuck abroad and spectators would, I'm sure, dearly love to be sat on one of those balconies as Kuhn again defends back up the pitch. Likewise, there's retirement apartments at Canterbury that I'm sure people will be utilising in weeks to come, as this one's again defended by the umpire Neil Bainton at this end, who turned down that decision. Ben Debenham is currently at point rather than a square leg to avoid getting the sun in his eyes, you would assume, as Harmer wells in once again, the off spinner, and this one is for South African. Kuhn is defending into the offside.
Well, he's a good Essex man, Neil Bainton, the umpire. Hails from Halstead. We've had him on our Around the Wicket programme a couple of times on BBC Essex.
In once more, Harmer. This one all spins and bounces, and wonderfully taken by Adam Wheater. Fast hands from him, standing up to the stumps and made over.
Well, that one bit and turned, didn't it? Simon Harmer will show some interest at that one, just exchanging a little bit of chat with his skipper Tom Wesley as he jogged past him there. Probably just saying, anything else you want me to do? You want to change the field? Are you happy with that? Some drinks coming on to the field here.
So that alcohol, hand gel and spray, of course.
Yeah, we also on the Around the Wicket programme this afternoon between 2 and 4, I had quite a long chat with the Essex groundsman Stuart Kerrison on Thursday morning. He came across for a chat and we did an interview. I said, how have things been for you? He said, well, I live on site. That's actually Stuart's house at the Hayes Close end, you can see. He said, I live on site. He said, the lockdown wasn't that bad. Obviously it was a bit more lonely because the office staff weren't here, the players weren't here. He said, I had a couple of people in to help me out. He said, but I just carried on as normal. He said we tried to keep the pitches ticking over, didn't have to cover them or anything. He said, well, we had to make sure we were going to be ready for whenever it was introduced. He said, what about protocols? He said, well, we have to spray down all the machinery after we've used it so the next person can come on and use it. I said, what about the stumps? He said, well, the umpires are not supposed to touch the stumps. So obviously if there's a run out or something like that, he said, and they do have to touch them, we'll spray them down. The umpires will use the hand sanitizer to clean their hands as well. As you mentioned earlier on, the ball has to be cleaned as well. So they do have to do all that. I mean, we've seen in the football, haven't we, where they've been spraying down the goalposts and stuff. So all has to be thought about. All that, all precautions have to be taken. There's all the hand sanitising stations right around the ground as well for us.
Quinn continuing from that Hayes Close end of the ground. Short ball on Robinson, so close to dragging that off the under edge of his bat onto his off stump.
It's almost like he went to and thought, no, by which time it was taken. In the end, the ball's dropped off his under edge and just rolled off the stumps.
Well, it's a deliberate ploy that Essex are going to try here, because there's a deep square leg and a long leg in play. So if he does fancy dropping in a couple short, there are fielders out in the deep to try and suck Robinson into a top edge. Perhaps just thinking that he looks very competent and confident when you're bowling full deliveries to him, so why not try a bit of backer length stuff. This one nudged into the onside by Robinson.
It's a lot better from Quinn. He just seems to have pulled his length back from his opening couple of overs where he got driven. And it's sort of right on point now, and I think just trying to seal up that end and just stop the runs coming, because I mentioned the Kent run rate was just below 5, it's only just above 4 now, so they have just stemmed that flow at 75 for 3.
KentCricket@gmail.com and at BBC Kent Sport if you want to get in touch, Kent listeners. As Matt Quinn again past the umpire and driven off the back foot by Robinson. Quick single. Tennis Carter throws at the stumps at the bowler's end, but Robinson pretty comfortably home for his 31st run of the innings. There are a couple of maidens at the 76-3.
Essex.sport at BBC. Which one you get in contact with? If you're an Essex fan, you want to use the Kent addresses and vice versa. We won't take it personally.
2 sets in play, Quinn bowls and Kuhn just softly playing into the onside, just looking around the ground at some of the other individuals who are ahead. I think former Kent captain David Fulton. Just looking to see a bait that looks like it's being used for some sort of TV broadcast.
Yeah, he's probably here from Sky.
Light him up. He's in a nice light blue pastel coloured shirt. It's actually on our breakfast programme. yesterday. I think he was on the route to Hove to do some interviews. Yeah, good to hear from him on BBC Radio Kent yesterday morning. This one pops up into the offside. There's half an appeal for LBW.
Too high again. I think it might have been played, but certainly too high.
Got another cameraman in front of us, and Fatoli to our right, who's got an entire top. Kindly told me that you need to go to fill in your form to do your health and safety question. Top driven by doing the day, so going to see plenty of overs bowled, but well, unless there's a change of innings, just the one ball with those new rules. 90 overs before you can take the new one. Kent 76 for 3. I don't know if we'll necessarily see it in this innings, but going ahead in the competition, I quite like the ball in about the 120 overs maximum for the first innings, particularly if there's wicket in hand. It'll have something quite interesting, a burst of runs in a team certainly trying to score runs quickly at the back end of an innings. This is a full toss in fact from Simon Harmer, and Ollie Robinson able to quite comfortably just nudge this one up to the long on fielder Wesley, put himself back on the rope. So Robinson gets a single.
It's been pretty miserly from Matt Quinn, just 12 runs from his 5 overs.
Harmer 7 off his first and then a maiden, and then 1, and Kuhn now playing defensively. It's almost as if Harmer's quite happy to bowl to his countryman here. Feels like he's got a better chance of getting Kuhn out, perhaps, than Robinson. Here he comes, tall action. Kuhn, shorter man, doesn't have the longest stride, and nudges the ball down towards Ten Descartes. I think perhaps he was the one that was a bit of an ooh and an ah from. It wasn't too far away from landing in his mitts. The ball's again, flatter delivery, clipped away. There is a fielder at deep square leg, so I think with a wristband on his right arm, side band, he would pick up the ball. He moves on to 18 from 40 deliveries, so he has just calmed down, having hit early boundaries to get himself going. Ollie Robinson on strike, flight to delivery again. This time with a bit more conviction though, drives up towards long on for another single. 3 over here from Harmer so far. Such a weapon for Essex, the fact that they're able to bring him into a game so early on, just the 20th over. It's already into his 3rd over here, Harmer. Forward comes Heino Kuhn. Didn't seem to see any balls spin and bounce sharply in that over. We did see the previous one that Harmer bowled. 3 overs, 1 for 10, or none for 10, sorry, 1 maiden is the one up on the scoreboard. Kent 79 for 3 here on BBC Radio Essex, BBC Radio Kent, BBC Sport Online.
It's interesting what you say about bowling to his fellow South African. That will always be the case. Simon Harmer was born and brought up in South Africa. He does qualify for England next year.
I've seen stories about that, and suggesting that whether England might take a look at him. Does he have ambitions to play for England?
He never said no. No, he's never said no. He's 31 now, so as a spinner and a decent lower order batsman, he's 5, 6 years, 7 years, easily could still have left in his career.
Squints continue from the far end as we watch on. Actually down road end of the ground he's bowling from.
I spoke to him when he first joined Essex, and I said, so over here and just getting yourself back in the South African frame of things. And he said, no, he said, I'm coming over here with my girlfriend. We've come over here, we've decided we're going to make this our home, this is where we're going to settle. And he sort of said to him, well, you could qualify for England. He said, well, I'm thinking about that or anything. He said, I just want to see how it goes. But the impact he's had and the success that he's had, if it keeps going, if you're England, you can't avoid it, can you?
Quinn bowls a short ball to Ollie Robinson, deep house through the keeper. I wonder if I'm thinking that was Robinson suggesting as much. He was quite comfortably over his head. The current spinner that's in the England side is at the opposite end of his career, really, to Harmer, being a very young man in Don Bess.
That's the thing they have to weigh up, isn't it? And Don Bess hasn't had the biggest effect in the series, but he wasn't used in the last test, so you've got to give him a run of the game. I think if Jack Leach comes back to fitness, they'll probably push him ahead of Don Bess.
Certainly in the Somerset camp, Leach was the man, and this one's just pushed up towards mid-on. Didn't quite time that as crisply as he would have liked. Robinson actually got picked late in their career, and Simon Harmer's younger than Denley, so it really is a case of what he has been doing in county cricket over the recent time. How do they ignore a man like that when he's available?
And at the very least, certainly the one-day team, if you're looking for a spinner. and someone who can bat.
Of course, success in the T20 competition for Essex as well as this red ball format last year, as Robinson pushes this one away out towards cover. Aaron Chopra's there. 79 for 3 here, Kent. On day one of this Bob Willis Trophy game here at the county ground in Chelmsford. We're watching on from the city end of the ground and seeing Robinson 33 not out in the middle up against Matt Quinn at the moment, who's been bang on the money. Just 12 runs conceded from his almost 6 overs now, just a couple of balls left in this one. Swept out on his left forearm, he was a short delivery which Robinson just bobs underneath. Clearly a bit of a ploy that they're trying to bowl some short stuff to Robinson here.
Just round up the scores from elsewhere in this group then. Surrey, Middlesex batting 59 for 1. Sussex, Hampshire, Sussex batting down at home and they are 58 for 2. The only rain so far today up there in the north east, Durham, Yorkshire, 12 without loss, and they've taken an early lunch. They're due to get back underway at 1:10.
Fairly similar scores elsewhere in truth. This is the one that's got the most wickets, as this one is driven away, smashed for 4 by Ollie Robinson, gloriously played with a full flourish and through the ball.
It's a shame for Matt Quinn to finish the over like that. It's probably about the first time in 4 overs he's overpitched. His first couple of overs just trying to find his range, but it's there. And just over 16, but he came out a shout there because he knew what he'd done and he got driven away for. Decent shot, 83 3, and these two have now taken their partnership up to 60.
Ollie Robinson up to 37 from 51 balls with that stroke. Yeah, that was a bit of loud frustration from the Essex bowler in maintenance. After having done such good work and stuck to his plans that he wanted to. Harmer again. In and bowling. Coon just bats out in front of his pad, defends. Inside edge, it squirms away from the man on the 45 for a dot ball. Quite blustery here. Trees that are overlooking the river behind us are blowing away. This one, a full delivery and full flourish from Coon to drive the ball hard into the covers. It was well stopped by Ferozi and preventing a boundary and just the 1 run. The pair scampering through for the Kent batsman. Coon up to 19.
Just bringing his hand slightly there, Feroz Kushin inspecting the end of his fingers. It's a good stop though.
Wesley just coming in a few yards from his position long on. Driven up towards Simon Harmer from Ollie Robinson. Almost want to be posting him in on in this instance in a position where there's maybe enough room behind him to tempt a shot over the top, but not offer the easy one. It is a scamper signal Robinson has done. He played it up towards Wesley. He's off strike, 38 for him, 19 for Coon, 85 for 3 Kent. Probably just do this ball and then update BBC Radio Kent listeners. As Simon Harmer is in again, sends a loud pull of no as Phil rushes in at mid-off.
Away you go. Ben's off to update the listeners at BBC Radio Kent. So it's BBC Essex, BBC Radio Kent with you at the county ground today. Glenn Feller and Ben Watts as Harmer continues to whirl away, is in again. He's probably around mid-leg. We've got the short wicket who's doing the ball shining at the moment. And at the end of the over, 85 for 3. Coon on 19. Running rate has slowed somewhat. Robinson's gone up to 38 from just 53 deliveries. Harmer has 0-12 from his 4 overs thus far. Talking to the Essex skipper Tom Wesley on Thursday ahead of the start of the season, I said about the saliva on the ball. Is that going to be something you're just going to have to kind of snap out of the habit? And he said, well, interestingly, I used to be the ball shiner in the Essex team. You sort of designate the man who's going to do all the shining, and Tom Wesley was it. He's captain now. He doesn't need to do things like that. And it seems that Nick Brown may have been designated as chief ball shiner. Matt Quinn's going to continue with his 7th over from the Hayes close end. He's in and bowling, and that's pushed out to the offside for no run by Ollie Robinson. 85 for 3. Let's give you the scores from the South group. Let's look at some of the other groups in the North. Derbyshire Notts batting, 78 without loss. Hasib Hamid is doing his usual job. A new county for him, don't forget. After he was released by Lancashire, he's got 22 not out so far and a score of 78 without loss. As I mentioned, lunch at Chesterland Street, Durham 12 without loss against Yorkshire, and Lancashire batting against Leicestershire, Lancashire 57 for 2. Quinn is in again, and that is wide of off stump, and he's just dangled the bat of that one as Robinson angled away down to the third man boundary. It was in the air all the way, but he's only got the 2 slips in there, Quinn, and gully is quite wide as well, so there was no danger with the shot. 89 for 2. And in the Midlands of 1 against Worcestershire, Somerset against Glamorgan, and Northants against Warwickshire. Northants are 44 for 2. Quinn is in, bowling to Robinson, and that's bouncing over the head of Robinson, who's a diminutive man in stature. You tend to find wickets, and he's pulled out of the... What she thought about, and there is no run. Wheat's coming throughout.
Yes, thank you very much. Bit of news for myself being king.
Jamie Porter at mid-on just tosses the ball to his fellow seam bowler, Matt Quinn. Tall man, Matt Quinn. One of those wristbands on his left wrist. In and bowling now to Robinson. Robinson on the drive, slightly uppish. There's a diving attempt at a stop by Ryan Tenduscarter at wide mid-off, and they've come through for a couple of runs from that. 91 for 3. Robinson goes up to 44, and these two have done such a great job of repairing the early damage inflicted on them. Bell Drummond out for 6 when the score was on 15, leaning for a duck, and Cox for 15. Both of those removed when the score was on 23. 2 for Sam Cook, 1 for Jamie Porter. Quinn yet to knock one in the wickets column. He's in bowling now to Robinson, who pushes defensively and firmly and solidly up to mid-off for no run. And 4-3, so it definitely looks like we're going to get 100 runs in the session as we head up towards lunch. Ben is back with us again. A bit more dark cloud coming in over the pavilion away to our right hand side, being blown in on this stiffish breeze. We weren't predicted any rain. Quinn comes in to Robinson. Robinson ends on the shot the previous ball, pushes defensively out to the offside for no run. End of the over, 91 for 3 is the score.
Yeah, I would like to think that it's just greyish cloud that's going to pass over us. Won't cause any interruptions. I think certainly from behind us towards the city it will look a little bit darker, but hopefully won't be any interruptions to the play in front of us. So what, 7 overs now for Quinn, number 22 with a maiden. Wonder whether Essex might think about a bowling change at the Ashley Down Road end of the ground at the moment. Simon Harmer to continue when Jamie Porter drops off the helmet as he takes up his position at deep square leg.
His first ball from Harmer is pushed out to Nick Brown, feverishly working on the ball, and there's no run again. Yeah, the wind really has picked up as well. Starting to away. The reverse LBW than anybody else. Harmer's concentrating on fielding the ball and preventing the single, but Coon's pulling out the reverse sweep now, so he probably feels he's got the measure maybe of Simon Harmer here.
It is a shot they normally more so in perhaps white ball cricket.
Harmer is in again. That one plenty of air and pushed out to mid-wicket. The man comes off the fence to do the fielding. It's Matt Quinn. Score up to 93 for 3.
There was a fear from Kent's point of view that Coon might not be available for this game because I think his wife is due to get up in the next few days or so.
Pushed defensively back to the bowler for no run.
So Kent supporters were pleased to see him out there because a number of senior batsmen not available for this one, and then those early wickets too. A good job at the moment from this pair.
Harmer in again, and on the back foot this time. Coon pushing out to that man Nick Brown. There's some question over whether Simon Harmer would qualify next year or in a further couple of years for England. Well, it is a 4-year qualification, and he was actually used in the nets by England last year during the Australian series. Harmer's in again, and that's rolled up. There's an appeal for a catch. I don't think that's out. Essex seem convinced. It's a lovely catch, by the way, by Ryan Tenduscarter, backpedaling and by full length and making catch with one hand. He's very interested in there, but it clearly, from my point of view, just rolled up the pad and looped up in the air, and firm shake of the head from Neil Bainton. Not if you fancy it as well.
Yeah, Glenn, I think you're right. The umpire certainly agreed with you and deemed that had just popped off the pad or the thigh pad, and he was spot on. It was a fantastic catch from Tenduscarter. Scurried to his right, he dived and took it one-handed. I think you're going to appeal purely based on that catch, even though you're unsure whether there's any glove involved.
Yeah, Paul on the email said, great to see cricket series bowling away, and there was a 4-year qualification period, although England were at pains to say that wasn't why they'd brought him in for that.
Yeah, I think as much as it was about having a look at him, it was the fact that Nathan Lyon was causing them a few problems, wasn't he? And how do you replicate that quality, that level of quality off spinner? Well, Simon Harmer was about as close as they could probably get to that in terms of facing someone of Nathan Lyon's level with the nets.
Change of bowling at the Hayes close end. Jamie Porter's coming back on. Matt Quinn's done a good job from that end, but Porter is back on, and he's going to be bowling to Heino Kuhn. He's on 20 now, having started off at a fair old lick. He's rather been dried up in terms of run scoring, and Essex have noticeably done that. They've got Quinn sort of bowling more on middle stump line and strengthening the onside. Porter is in from the Hayes close end now and bowling to Kuhn, and he hits that one off the back foot very uppishly, and it bounces just in front of Tenduscarter at mid-off, strikes his body, and they come through for a single as it bounces off the former Essex skipper. But Kuhn's heart was in his mouth momentarily there.
It was almost three soft dismissals. Had leaningly picked out mid-wicket, and with a strangle down the leg side, caught by the wicket-keeper, he's almost plinked that straight to mid-off.
This next one from Porter is pulled around the corner by Robinson, and it'll just be the single as it's fielded by the man down at long leg. Score moves into 94, 3-0. Big sporting weekend, isn't it? FA Cup final this evening. England up against Ireland, the second one-day international. Day 2 of the World Snooker Championship. Opening day of the county cricket.
British Grand Prix this weekend.
Yeah, spoiled for choice.
All going on.
Not often you've been able to say that in recent months. Porter into Kuhn, and Kuhn playing defensively out to the onside. There's no run.
Almost crept through the defence, that one. Right there, almost.
From 69 deliveries, 6 fours and a 6, 34, Nottinghamshire 92 without lot.
Flying at the moment, they're not.
Hasib Hamid's been named the one to watch by our colleague from BBC Radio Nottingham, Dave Bracegirdle. It's a big year or so for him, isn't it? Having come onto the England scene, done so well there, and then the runs just haven't come for him for the last couple of years. Porter is in and bowling to Kuhn, who just drops the bat on that one. Fielded by Nick Brown, no run.
That was a relief manager, wasn't it? It wasn't just he was out of contract and thought he might try his luck elsewhere. Lancashire, in effect, run out of patience with him, and picked up by Nottinghamshire seems to have re-energised him a little.
Good occupier of the crease, but the runs just weren't there, and he tried and tried and tried. It's only 23 years of age, but Peter Moores is the coach at Nottinghamshire. Obviously will know a fair bit about him from his time at Lancashire. Porter into Kuhn again, and Kuhn pulling out the regulation forward defensive there, and there's no run. Porter in the footing on his follow through.
Kessler on kentcricket@gmail.com says, I was sleeping in, so missed the start. As a Kent fan, you probably did well to miss the start.
Was he sleeping in for 3 months, was he?
Said, I was working in the early hours. He said, could you, I know you may have said this already, but could you give us a little re-explanation of the format of the competition, just to refresh the memory?
Porter, just the 2 slips into Kuhn, who pulls that one away wide of mid-wicket. Couple of bounces, attempted a diving stop out there, and unfortunately Kushiyu did jump away for 4, and moves the Kent score on to 98-3. Kuhn's got 20
to a minimum of 90 overs in the day's play. First innings can only last 120 overs, the follow-on increasing to 200 runs from 150. New ball available after 90 overs rather than the usual 80. Points awarded for a draw increasing from 5 to 8 to help mitigate any impact of the weather during the shortened competition. As things stand, all the other things will remain the same. 16 points for a win, maximum of 5 batting and 3 bowling bonus points.
Simon Harmer starting another over, and he's eased up to long on by Robinson for another single, 99-3.
And then of course the structure with the 3 groups, the North Central and South divisions, being slightly different to divisions 1 and 2. Hampshire, Middlesex, Surrey and Sussex also in this group.
Harmer bowling to Kuhn, this time with that short leg still in place, pushed defensively back up the pitch for no run. Of course there is some suggestion that maybe this might be the future But
it was talked about, wasn't it, a couple of years ago?
there's Harmer. Right arm over, gives that one a bit more weight, hold it on a lot quicker. Same result, defensively back to him for no run.
Was it talked about but didn't quite receive enough support?
No, that was exactly it. I think it was just a reduction in the number of games that there could be. Harmer, and again, if you want to run. But I guess, you might say, well, you're only going to play 5 games, but you could introduce quarterfinals and semi-finals if you wanted to into it, just to add a few more games if you wanted to get up to sort of maybe 8 championship effective matches. Harmer's in, and oh dear, it's pushed back down the pitch, obviously, but not really within sight of any fielder. Brown comes in and just picks it up.
Yeah, it was back down the pitch rather than towards the short leg fielder than the Scarter. He's going to change his angle here, Simon Harmer.
Yeah, round the wicket to the right-handed batsman. Short leg in, so as to Cook at slip. And Harmer round the wicket this time to Heino Kuhn. Making push more out into that onside as well, but it's easily just tucks down to Nick Brown at short wicket. Harmer 993 is the Kent score.
Is there a ruling that Essex always have to have a slip with Sir Alistair Cook on field? Is the only last slip now he's Knight to the Brown?
There's the odd occasion where he might go into the rings, but other than that, he stands a slip.
Yeah.
So some other changes as well, which just for this year, is that not everyone's playing at their home ground. As we know, Hampshire are having to settle into a new home. The Aegeus is acting as one of the international cricket biosecure bubbles, so their new home's at Arundel. As Porter's in for a new over, and it's driven away by Robinson. Lovely to prevent any run. Lancashire haven't got Old Trafford because it's designated for international fixtures, so they're taking one of their 2 home matches at Aigburth. As Porter goes to the end of his run. Yeah, Old Trafford's been used very much as the bubble. Middlesex on the road from Lords. 2 games they're playing at Radlett. Porter is in again to Robinson with 2 slips off the back foot. There's no run, driven out to Chopra. Derbyshire has been headed over to both Pakistan as their training base and for women's international fixtures, so they're playing all 5 of their group games away from home. Leicestershire have also seen their fixture schedule reorganised because of the local restrictions in place around the city. Their opening game against Lancashire has been moved to the neutral ground of New Road in Worcester. The Foxes hope, though, to play 3 games at their county ground later on. Porter's in again, played defensively by no run. It was planned for crowds of up to 2,500 to be permitted to watch the first 2 days of Surrey Middlesex at the Oval and Warwickshire Northants at Edgbaston after the first couple of pilots, but as we know, the restrictions were brought back in yesterday, so that's not been possible. So a few things for people and players to get used to. Just mentioning Worcestershire, you very rarely start the season at Worcester these days anyway, do you? Because New Road's underwater and you're normally playing at Kidderminster. Porter running in towards us from the Hayes close end under cloudy skies now, driven by Robinson uppishly, but it's going to go away to the boundary and it's going to go away to the first half century of the season, and it's wrapped up by Ollie Robinson. He goes to exactly 50 from 68.
Henry or a century. It's just as you said, it's play about 16 and various different things that we're seeing around the county circuit at the moment. Just a moment ago, when Nick Brown stopped the previous square drive from Ollie Robinson, Simon Harmer came over enthusiastically to give him some support and congratulate him on the fielding. Normally perhaps they go for a low 5 or something like that. In the end they went for a bit of an elbow bump after they both realised that perhaps we shouldn't touch each other's hands.
Porter into Robinson, just covering up defensively up middle, no run. India and 1 and 3 please have added exactly 80. We've got the possibility of a hat-trick down at Sussex. 4 for 4. There's batting first against Hampshire. And it is Ajit Dale doing all the damage at the moment. He's got 2 for 7 in his 4th over and he's on a hat-trick. So wickets falling there. Wickets were falling here, but Kent tidying up things very nicely. As Simon Hart prepares to take another over. Do you want to pick up commentary, Ben?
Yeah, go for it. Slipping short leg in play. Kuhn 25 to his name, about to take strike against Harmer.
Just had to bring another helmet onto the field here. That's what the pause in play was. Varun Chopra It's going into a short leg slip.
It's an interesting field. He's going to go back to bowling over the wicket here, Harmer. Coon pressing and defending the ball with his bat out in front of his pad once again.
Hat-trick averted, incidentally.
Harmer in the bowling, slightly back of the length, and I think he might have even missed that. The ball was going down towards the boundary at the Ashley Down Road end. There was a swing back from him. He just got something on it.
Yeah, it was a swing down the leg side. It was a horribly short delivery down the leg side, and it had Varun Chopra at leg slip, taking if action, just dropping himself was going to happen there.
That's the last thing you want when you've just been brought in at leg slip for your bowler-to-bowler half-tracker, and of all people to bowl one, Simon Harmer.
Just checking you're awake. Oh, you are. Okay, fine.
Sorry, Jeff. Sort of thing that if you're playing on a weekend and somebody makes the rather bold and slightly unnecessary decision to go in close under a helmet, that sort of thing can happen. But you wouldn't necessarily expect it from Simon Harmer. Just adjusting his field then as he bowls to Coon, and he sweeps in the air but away for 4 runs. And as you say again, those leg slip and short leg fielders don't cover that.
If you're bowling to your field, isn't there? He's dropped 2 down the leg side now, and that one this time did almost come out of the middle. He used to bowl slow right arm, not quite as good as Simon Harmer.
Yeah.
They said to me, "Do you want me to go in close?" I was like, "Well, on your head be it."
Yeah. I do actually have a couple of at club cricket level, a couple of catches to my name fielding at short leg.
You're a braver man than I.
Incidentally, both off family relations. One was my cousin, one was my brother. So there we go. Harmer in. Another sweep shot, and this one's 4 more runs. This time Tender Scott having to count the leg, and then 45 for Rose Cushy trying to stop it, but Coon accelerates with 3 consecutive boundaries onto 37-3, and having had a just look to get his bat out in front of us and defend. Now with all these fielders around the back, Coon's decided, I'm just going to sweep and keep sweeping hard. Sense that something could happen here. There was Harmer in again and just towards the bowler. Behind again, there was a slip of the ball out the hand from Harmer. One of the fielders goes and
previous 3 deliveries.
Final ball of his over. Back goes Coon. Thinks about a quick side fields off the over. And 12 from it. A rare blemish on the Harmer figures. 7 overs, 1 made and none for 26. Robinson 50 off 70 balls now exactly, and Coon up to 37 off 64. KentCricket@gmail.com and at BBC Kent Sport if you want to get in touch on various formats. Just seeing that my colleague Matt Cole is in position for the National League South playoff final between Weymouth and Dartford, which is on DAB and online on BBC Radio Kent this afternoon. Kicks off at 1 o'clock.
Down at the seaside, quick eye cream.
Yeah,
down at Weymouth.
Not a bad day for him.
Yeah, nice place to go down there, Weymouth.
Porter from the Ashley Down Road into the ground. A bit wider in his bowling crease there. Ollie Robinson trying to drive up towards mid-off but didn't really get hold of it.
See, just to talk about the other national game for a few moments, we had Colchester in the playoffs and all the rigmarole they had to go through to games against Exeter. But these non-league clubs who've literally got no money and still have all the testing and they've had to go through to get those games on is quite a fantastic achievement and commitment as well.
Yeah, certainly so. And as it is, as Walters in once again, back at the delivery, tried to single, but then decided went wide mid-off. Through he comes for another one, then onto 51. I think Havant at Waterlooville and I think York City in the Northern Division were some of the key protagonists, working really hard to get those on, and then neither of those sides have got through to a final. Here's Water. Man on the strike, short ball, goes for a ball that was way early on it and ends up dragging it off almost the toe end of the bat into the onside. 116 for 3.
And the cricket clubs aren't overly blessed with either. They'll get some help from the ECB, but all the protocols and testing and various other things they've had to bring in around the grounds to get these games on as well. But it's so vital just for the counties to be playing.
Yeah, I did see some murmurings on social media overnight actually about memberships, and this one is cut away beautifully behind a Coon. late abs down really to the man. For 4 runs, deliberately played. He moves to 41. Kent up to 120 for 3.
I think Essex are going to have to have a little bit of think and a bit of a mull at lunchtime, because they had the 3 successes early on, soft pull to mid-wicket miscued, and you could argue, you know, they were taken, but they have a rethink here. They're going to go about things, how they're going to bowl at these 2 in particular.
Porter with 2 slips, bowls. So he's back and defending this one back down the pitch.
This is what Kent will have been thinking when they won the toss and elected to bat. And there's runs out here. They wouldn't have been expecting to lose those 3 wickets just by prodding forward and looking, and by playing their shots as well when it's been offered.
Fast outfield, as we've mentioned. Pitch looks good too. As Porter is in again. Tries to play a cut shot here. Kuhn pretty close to his body. I'm not sure it was quite short enough. That's right. It's like the side end of the over. 123 with Porter there completing his 8th over now. 147 his figures. I guess you would expect for a cricket season.
It's interesting, as Keris in the grounds video said, how are you expecting things to play? They're going to play like April wickets? Are they going to play like August? Said, don't know. Honestly said, just don't know. Essex have also introduced this year, they've got, he did give it the technical term, but I can't remember, not completely grass pitches. They've got some artificial fibres and that sort of thing in there as well, he said, which just helps the resilience of the pitch. He said, so it'll be interesting to see how they work out as well.
Yeah, it looks lovely from up here, if Stuart is listening. So a fine job. Harmer's going to continue. Robinson on strike. There's still a leg slip and a short leg. Continues with the same tactic really, having hit that early 6, Robinson. Over mid-on. Since then, Wesley's pushed himself back to long on, and he continues to just run. There'll be a strike. Kuhn on strike, goes for the reveep and gets it. Doesn't get it fully, in fact. He's only going to get 1, he's got 2 in fact. Hurried second run. Perhaps hit a little bit higher up on the bat. It actually, I think it was almost a full toss. 100 up for the 4th wicket. Robinson with 52. Are you doing the 43? At least about 100 on the ball for this pair as Kuhn defends back up the pitch. In fact, of course, they were both on naught when they came together at 23 for 3.
Yeah, it was good anticipation there from Sam Cook from that reverse sweep as well. He's at a backward point. He immediately saw the shape of Kuhn there, so started making the run to prevent it going for 4.
Well, that's going to get on Kuhn.
I mean, it's to get into position early for, isn't it? So Cook can see it and anticipate it, but he's immediately running away and preventing the ball going any further than towards the boundary. So it's a good piece of fielding that.
Just a 1 run, so Kuhn up to 44. 124 for 3. Yeah, towards 1 o'clock. Just all the pace off this one, just floated that one up. Robinson going back in his crease, playing with soft hands back up the pitch. Comes in once more. Flatter delivery there for the leg shot. End of the over. I wonder if we've got...
They'll get around quickly, I would think,
yeah,
won't they?
another over.
Squeeze one more in before the clock strikes 1. I'm thinking you're probably going to have to leave us now, are you? Yep. So Ben will be back after lunch break. He's got to pop off and update BBC Radio Kent. I've got to update BBC Essex listeners into the 1 o'clock news as well. I'm thinking we'll probably still be playing when that comes around. Players have got into position, which means we can start the over before 1 o'clock. And then we'll disappear off for the lunch break, and you can disappear off for yours or enjoy your gardening, whatever it is you're doing today, and rejoin us around about 20 to 2 for the afternoon session. But we have got 1 more over to go here. Jamie Porter is the man who's going to bowl it, and Kent will look to get to lunch with no more damage inflicted. They're 124 for 3. Porter is in and bowling. A shout for LBW here. The shot by Kuhn was to angle it down the leg side. Big shout that from Porter. Firm shot ahead by Ben. By Porter interested. As I say, the batsman was looking to angle that one down to fine leg, so that would be, you would think, why the umpire has met it with the negative. Aeroplane buzzing overhead. The sky is pretty much filled in by cloud now. We aren't predicted any rain. Porter is in and bowling to Robinson, who pushes defensively for no run. The half centurion is looking to see it out before lunch. 4 more balls to go before the players take a well-earned break. Would have been a big strain on them. They had to have that match at Canterbury earlier in the week, but they've had to wait a long time for the stresses and strains of match play. And that is why you'll find teams rotating their teams during the Bob Willis Trophy games. Porter turns at the end of his run, coming in towards us from the Hayes close end, into Robinson, who plays and misses at that one, dangles the bat out, it pulls it inside the line, but long after the ball had gone by. So Porter is probing. 3 more balls, regulation deliveries to go before the break in play. And you might want to catch up with the BBC Sport website, see what else has been going on, not just around the cricket world, but around elsewhere. You can catch up on all the county scores and obviously look at the live text and see what's been going on there. These balls still to around too. As Porter is into Robinson, mix that with the full face up to mid-off, where it's fielded by the former Essex captain Ryan Tender-Scarter, and there's no run. Century opening stand for Nottinghamshire, Hamid and Nash, 108 without loss against Dart. So batsmen just looking around the country, seemingly having the better of it in the majority of the games. Sussex having a hard time with the bat in their match against Hampshire, 4 wickets down. As Porter is just in front. He edged Robinson, but just dropped the hands on it slightly at the last moment to take the pace off it, and it was bouncing foot and a half in front of Alistair Cook. So that's 3 times now in this over that has bothered Messrs Kuhn and Robinson, so that might give him food for thought when they come out for the afternoon session. Penultimate delivery, in fact this is the final delivery before the lunch break, and they're going to move Tom Wesley in from Gully. 2-second slip. Porter is in. Now Robinson is up and run, and that is the end of the opening session of the opening day of the opening game of the county cricket season, the Bob Willis Trophy, first group game here, Essex against Kent. Kent won elected to bat, and they've reached 123 for 3 at lunch. Do join us around about 20 to 2, won't you, for the resumption of play. Just going to update BBC Essex listeners. And we've had a good and intriguing first session here of the opening match in this Bob Willis Trophy. Kent won the toss. They elected to bat on what should have been good batting conditions, both overhead and indeed as far as the pitch is concerned. But they were very quickly reduced to 23-4-3. Bell Drummond, the first man to go. LBW to Sam Cook for 6 when the score was on 15. And when the score had advanced to 23, they then lost a couple of wickets in quick succession. Jack Leaning caught by Feroz Kushi off the bowling of Cook for a duck, and Jordan Cox, who'd looked good for his 15, was then caught by Adam Wheater down the leg side off the bowling of Jimmy Porter. That was 23 for 3, but since then Heino Kuhn and Ollie Robinson have done a really good repair job. They've added 102 runs without any further loss. Kuhn on 44 and Robinson on 52, although Robinson did just edge just in front of Sir Alistair Cook towards the end of that morning session. But it's Kent's session certainly after a rocky start. They're 125 for 3. Somebody say something. Pushed away from Jamie Porter, who's running in now from the Hayes close end, and that second one is driven past mid-on.
Sent email addresses during the week from across the bridge.
Cook into Belgium, big chef Robbie W here and he's gone. Well, Cook's right.
As Porter is in once again. Full delivery which Cox drives back down the ground. They should go Porter with 3 slips in the gully and bowling driven. That is much better from Julian Cox. 100% lightning quick. Here's Porter bowling again to Cox. This is leg side and there's a peel or a strangle and Cox has gone.
BBC Essex Sport, this will be my mind's eye.
Cook short ball, pulled away and straight to the fielder. And another 3 is Porter. In again, driven square of the wicket by Ollie Robinson and gets off the mark bowling once again. Driven down the ground, there you go. Just if bowlers are not quite in their areas, and that one hasn't got England honours as this one is again ball again smashed away by Heineken for 4 runs. I said building and get over the line and through to the final was this one driven by Coon away for 4 runs. Getting more opportunities.
Cooking again, Willis full delivery which is met with a full firm face of the bat, lovely on drop being introduced towards lines just for a little look as Cook is in once again, that's brushed away down the leg side and down to the
second innings here in the county championship last year. Robinson comes down the pitch and smashes him over the top, and where in truth this is the one that's the most wickets, this one is driven away, smashed for 4 by Ollie Robinson gloriously.
Against Yorkshire, and Lancashire batting against Leicestershire, Lancashire 57 for 2. Quinn is in again and that is wide of off stump.
Refresh the memory.
Porter, just 2 slips, into Kuhn, pulls that one away. Porter running in towards us from the Hayes close end under cloudy skies, now driven by Robinson uppishly, but it's going to go away from the boundary. And
Harmer in and bowling, some slightly back of the length, and I think he might have even missed that. The ball's gone down towards the boundary, the average expect from Simon Harmer, just adjusting his field then as he bowls to Kuhn and he sweeps in the air, but away for 4. Welcome back to the county ground, Chelmsford. Second session of this first day of the delayed cricket season. Day one of the Bob Willis Trophy campaign for both these two teams, Essex and Kent. The two Kent batsmen, Ollie Robinson and Heineken, making their way back out to the middle, having put on 102 for the fourth wicket prior to the lunch interval. 3 early wickets for Essex, reducing Kent to 23 for 3. The two Kent batsmen in the middle bouncing back, and a lunch break probably coming at the wrong time for them, really. They've got to get themselves going again. But in batsman friendly conditions, it must be said. Some of the greyish cloud that we did have appearing over the ground earlier on has cleared, and it's a glorious sun-bathed scene here in Chelmsford. Myself, Ben Watts of BBC Radio Kent, and BBC Radio Essex's Glenn Speller in the commentary box. Welcome back, Glenn.
Yeah, it was very relaxed with the players coming back out, really, wasn't it? They were sort of leaning against the advertising hoardings, waiting for the umpires and the batsmen, but I guess we did finish about 4 minutes past 1, I think, in the end.
Sam Cook with ball back in hand as we get the cricket up and running once more. On the back foot, Heineken driving hard into the ground and into the covers. Alistair Cook immediately wandering off to go and have a conversation with Nick Brown and straight.
Cloud cover, which was really coming in just before lunch and during the lunch period, has sort of blown away now. We've got pretty much blue sky above us, sun's back out. Breeze is still blowing across the ball.
Cook past umpire Bainton. Good delivery to Kuhn, who props himself forward on the front foot and offers his bat and his hands at the ball, but plays and misses, beats him on the outside edge through to the wicketkeeper Wheater.
And the way these do after the first sort of 4 or 5 overs where they 6 know, they need to break this partnership pretty early in this session, because these two got settled and batted really, really well, and until that final over from Jamie Porter before lunch, were relatively unbothered by the bowling that was on offer to them. They built really nicely.
Here comes, and he's actually pounced. Looking on the thigh pad, batters away into the offside. Good start from Cook back into the attack after the break.
Well, he was the best, wasn't he, of the 4 Essex bowlers that we saw in the morning. He was the pick of them. He got a couple of wickets, better seemed to get his line and length right. Porter second, so his first.
His fingers through his hair there. Good. And in and bowling outside the off stump, left alone. Notice that he's got a sweatband on his right wrist and short sleeves top, and then almost some tubing, or
yeah,
maybe that's the side that he tends to dive on and hold ground, and don't want to take the skin off your elbows. Hair slightly longer than in previous years. Ball on the top head runs in. Ball once again to Heineken on the back foot and playing with a high elbow into the onside. Picked up by the skipper.
He was a bit surprised that maybe more of the England team hadn't taken advantage of a trim, but apparently that's because they're part of the bubble and you can't even get out for a haircut or anything like that. So we had Alice bands and that sort of thing being used, and headbands. I thought Stuart Broad looked quite good in his, actually, but it was all tied rather than use band behind your back.
Cleverer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought some of the younger lads were quite funny as Cook is in and bowling, cut away hard but into the ground and straight to point from Heineken. And the end of the first over after lunch, a maiden from Cook. Kent 125 for 3. The likes of Zach Crawford they had going on between. You'd have thought maybe they could have got a hairdresser into the bubble for a couple of weeks, and
or buy a pair of clippers, buy a set of clippers and share them among themselves.
I'd have had a go. I think if I was on live TV, I'd have said to someone, "Go on, mate, just have a go. Get the trimmer, stick it on 4, go all over.
See what it looks like."
Yeah.
Because you're wearing a hat most of the time anyway.
Exactly, so yeah, exactly.
Jamie Porter's going to open up from the Hayes close end. Oh no, Matt Quinn, I think. They put Porter up on the board, but I think Matt Quinn's going to. Yeah, it is Quinn.
The board doesn't seem to have caught up with us as yet.
No. Quinn was the one we saw was going through a little bit of a warm up just before they came out.
Yeah, bowled well in the one that he bowled before. Get his thing back up on the screen in a moment. 7 overs, number 22, but perhaps unfortunate not to get a wicket. 2 slips in play for him as he bowls to Robinson, who lets it go outside the off stump. through to Wheater. Cook and Harmer at first and second slip. Brown's at point. Burren Chopra at cover. It's also on a mid-off in play, as well as square leg and long leg. Dan Lawrence missing from the Essex side, being involved in the England bubble, having played earlier in the week the warm-up game. You know, the days long, moves 6.
That's going to take a bit of getting used to.
It really is. Even for supporters of other counties, I think. As Robinson plays at this one outside the off stump, that swung as it went past the bat as well. Taken by Wheater. Good delivery from Quinn, just left the batsman. Back of length. Robinson went on the back foot and tried to drive it.
As you did bowl well. He got cracked for 4 a couple of times in his first couple of overs, and his last ball of his spell in the morning went for 4 as well. But between that, he did bowl really, really well and probed away, but without any reward so far. All of the other 2 men at one range.
Yeah, good bounce, good carry. Bowled some short stuff at Robinson earlier. On the back foot and playing this defensively. Looks like that plan might have been shelved for now on the basis that there's only 1 man out and it's the fine leg, no man back at deep square for the time being.
I know you've got football, haven't you, this afternoon as well, Ben? Because you've got Dartford in the playoffs, haven't you?
Yeah, it was 0-0 when I was listening, just during the lunch.
Don't know when the league playoff final.
Club captain Sam Billings from the England side, as this one's another play and a miss from Robinson. Off the back foot trying to drive against Quinn. Billings retained in the England side, and an inclusion for Rhys Topley.
Yeah, I was speaking to his dad this morning as I was driving down to the ground. Don, who's part of our commentary team at BBC Essex, and he said don't say anything till 1:30, but we think Rhys is in the team, and it's great because for a young man, and he's still a very young man, he's had 3 stress fractures of the back, and you know, to come back from that, I think about a year ago he was still on a hospital bed. So to come back from that and get back into the England setup is fantastic. He's played it for Surrey, but it's a good time to be coming back into the England one-day setup.
Here comes Quinn, full delivery, and again Robinson being drawn into a stroke. He tried to flick it away into the onside and gets lucky. Gets a thick leading edge and down to third man for a boundary. So the scoreboard just catching up with us, saying it was a maiden over previously from Cook, but that one away for 4, 2-9 for 3.
Because if your day team are going to be quite busy over the next few years, got a T20 to get in there somewhere, another World Cup coming up, and there'll be something else in there as well. Maybe not a Champions Trophy, but some other major competition in there as well. So it's a good time to get back to Wattle's house. Obviously, he started his career here, and we saw his debut and that sort of thing. So really wish him well because he deserves everything that's coming his way.
He time at Sussex as well, didn't he? And this one pushed away into the couple-point region by Robinson. End of the over, 129 for 3, with Robinson moving on to 56. Coon still there, 44. And as we briefly talked about it during the lunch interval, you're putting out with him being left arm, it's that string to his bow, isn't it? The fact that he creates that different angle.
We went down to Hampshire and got injured again, unfortunately, and he went out to Australia, rehabilitated, funding himself, by the way. So you know he's got what it takes to really want to succeed, and just wishing. Obviously, we're slightly biased because his dad is with us on the commentary team, and he started with us as well. But I think that's you when he play cricket, and it happens to you 3 times. You can't help but hope someone does well.
Oh, that's the fact that he's just kept coming back and hasn't packed it in at some stage after 3 occasions. This one a full delivery. Forward comes Sino Coon to play defensively. The mental strength to keep coming back and to have that willingness to put your body through everything as you have to as a fast bowler is a real testament to him as a bloke, that he's back in the shape where he can be selected by England. Ball in hand again. Looking to add to the couple of wickets and the 2 for 20 that he's got so far. Pick of the bowlers for Essex this morning as Coon turns him away into the onside, straight to Wesley, the skipper, at mid-wicket.
So Sam Cook's another one who you look at, hasn't had any England recognition yet, but it looks to me like he's added a bit of pace to it. And when Jamie Porter was taking all those wickets, quick enough for international level, but someone like Sam Cook, Jamie Porter, they can get some bowling, get some wickets, push themselves in, because they're going to be vacant.
Comes Cook again, in and bowling, cut away hard by Heineken down towards the third man boundary for 4 runs. Didn't seem that short in truth, that delivery from Cook, but Coon is shorter in stature, and as I mentioned earlier on, he does fall short.
I know we all probably wished that, but one week's got to come to an end sooner rather than later. Maybe certainly for James Anderson, if he's not 38, he's coming up 38, still Broad's 3 or 4 years younger.
Yeah, the fact that those two have kept going so long, I guess, as we see Cook once more. Oh, that's a good delivery. It hits him high, and I think it's going over the top, despite Cook's pleading with the umpire. I think it was more thigh. I think it was back thigh pad.
I don't think there was any doubt it was in front, but to my mind, that it automatically looked high.
On the side of caution, thus far, with the fact that those two guys have pretty much exclusively Test cricket in recent times. Well, they might do all in one-day team as well. They get enough rest to keep themselves in good condition for the Test cricket. Don't really see them too much for their counties either. Cook bowls, full delivery, and turns his way by square on the onside. They just jog through the two Kent batsmen for 1, so moves to 49. 134 for 3.
Well, there's just signs there right at the start of this session. There might be a bit. This is the time where they have to strike. But they pretty settled before lunch. And there's been a couple of scares, a couple of plays and misses as well.
Ollie Robinson on strike then, after the run, this one. Pretty textbook defensive stroke into the cover on the offside. 134 for 3. Quinn through 9 overs.
The bowling options for Essex to rotate. It is pretty much the 4 of them, Quinn, Porter, Cook and Harmer. You could ask Tenduscar maybe to bowl a little bit of military medium, but other than that, that's pretty much it. Tom Wesley can bowl some slow right arm, but you are looking to these 4 to do the majority of the work. I think it's speaking to Essex.
Is that announced that he wouldn't be involved? Here's Quinn again, left alone outside the off stump by Hanakun.
Relatively early, because he has a. It's not that they look around for an overseas player. He has a contract with Essex. It was a 3-year contract that he signed. But so what they've done is they've decided not this year, and they're going to tack another one on the end, assuming he stays fit and well. And there's no, and obviously international calls and that depending. But yeah, he's such a big miss. He does such a lot of the work for Essex, and he's such a popular member as well. And he's so very, very effective. He's also a really nice guy.
He's got back good for a point. Bit of work on for the cover fielder, and there's going to be a couple of runs, and Heine going to go through to a half century here for Kent.
Well played.
From 84 balls.
What I've really liked about these two as well, and as you said, they were both on naught, came together because of the 2 wickets falling on 23, is they didn't sort of look, or I'd probably even had the conversation, let's just try and stick. They looked to score runs, they looked to be positive and throw it back into the course, and that's exactly what they've done.
No boundaries for Heinekun for his 59th first class half century. Plenty of those in South Africa, of course. He defends this next one before signing for Kent on Colpack terms a couple of years ago. 36 years of age now, the experienced South African. As I mentioned earlier on, he might have been unsure whether he was going to be playing the game. His wife's message in the week. No idea what was going to happen in terms of their batting lineup. Coombe wasn't going to be available for this one. Here's Quinn once more, 2 slips in play. Driven off the back foot, stopped by Quinn. Yeah, we were just chatting about Pete Siddle, and just from, without really knowing him, but watching him bowl for Australia and looking from afar, just the determination and the energy that he brings.
I think he just loves playing. Just loves playing, and you know, I don't think he's bothered what shirt he's wearing. As long as he's down the cricket field, he's very happy. He's big style.
It's a good get to have as an overseas player, someone that has that level of commitment. Clipped around the corner by Heino Kuhn. It's going to be 1 run. I was watching the documentary, the Game Changers documentary on Netflix the other day about I think it's an MMA fighter or an Ultimate. Went on a plant-based from a knee injury, and a lot of it said there's a lot to do, which is like how to with diet, and yeah, really interesting actually.
There's a lot more doing. There's a fair few snooker players now as well, living that lifestyle, encouraged by Peter Ebdon apparently.
Full delivery driven by Robinson straight to Varun Chopra in the covers. Yeah, I know in the NBA and basketball there's a lot more guys doing it, and it does seem to be becoming more and more popular among
snooker player also. Vito. Over 137 for 3, and these two just going about their business very nicely at the moment, and Essex have got to try to find a way to break this up. At BBC Essex Sport, if you want to drop us a tweet this afternoon, essex.sport@bbc.co.uk. They're the two ways to get in touch. Around the Wickets on BBC Essex starting in a couple of minutes' time as well, so you could have us on one speaker and maybe dig your radio out from somewhere, because I don't know anyone who listens actually on a physical radio. Please do that. I've got a lovely digital radio at home. They're beautiful. It's more a piece of furniture now than actually using it.
Cook in to bowl, and then I'll be off to do an update for BBC Radio Kent as Kuhn always hit on the midships once again. Decent delivery from Sam Cook. Seems to have Kuhn in a sport of bother at the moment.
Off goes Ben then, just to update the BBC Radio Kent listeners. 0-0 at half time, by the way, in that playoff between Weymouth and Dartford. No, Ben's got half an ear on. But he's concentrating fully on his job here as well. 137 for 3 then. Remember, Kent were 23 for 3 after winning the toss and batting. Love to hear from you this afternoon, wherever you're listening to us from. Could be the garden, maybe heading out in the car somewhere, going out for a stroll, maybe on the seaside somewhere. As Cook is in and bowling to Kuhn, and again he's just playing slightly across that one in front of the front pad. Had Cook momentarily interested, but got something on it. And there is no run once again. Simon Harmer going through an extensive stretching routine at the moment at second slip. Varun Chopra it was who did the fielding. Don't forget ball commentary on every single one of these Bob Willis Trophy matches involving all of the counties right here on the BBC Sport website and app with our various teams up and down the country. Cook is in once again, full of delivery, that one to Kuhn, who's driving and fielded on a follow through by Cook. Just bounces off the ball of his hand, rolls out into the offside. It's picked up by the skipper Tomoski, and keeps imploring his side on, encouraging them on, telling them to concentrate because the chance will come. As Cook turns in, bowling to Heino Kuhn, full delivery, worked into the onside this time but stopped by Wesley at that short mid-wicket position. And again there's no run, and Essex have notably got just trying to stem the flow right to field bat on ball, and kind of mistake here, but so far it has not been forthcoming. Here's Cook, turning away from us once again. Busy sort of approach he has, and that's again just forcing Kuhn onto the back foot. Maybe kept slightly lower than Kuhn was expecting, but he jabs down on it, rolls out to the onside again, and there's no run whatsoever. This is probing stuff from Sam Cook, good stuff as well. Kuhn so far has proved himself equal to it. A bit more cloud just beginning to move in. Another aeroplane buzzing above us. Probably just hear its engine in the background on our effects mic. It's a very pleasant afternoon. I say the clouds coming in, but there's plenty of blue sky behind it as well, and we've got the breeze to blow it away as well. Here's Cook in again to Kuhn, and again Kuhn is just trapping down on that one, maybe keeping slightly lower, slightly squared up, but pushes it away for no run. Good over that one from Sam Cook. 137 for 3 is the Kent score, and Cook has 2 for 25 from his 10 overs, an economy rate of exactly 2.5, which will be exactly what his captain wants, and he's looking like he could possibly take wickets here as well. But Kuhn and Robinson carry on and move on and look to take Kent towards a challenging first innings score. Don't forget the first innings of each side in these Bob Willis Trophy matches cannot go beyond 120 overs, which might bring some fun and games towards the end if teams want to get on with it. And this is Matt Quinn continuing from the Hayes close end, and he's bowling to Ollie Robinson to 2 slips. Ring of fielders on the offside, and again Robinson with the outer part of the face of that bat is just pushing it out to the offside for no run. Fielded there by Nick Brown, tosses it to Varun Chopra. More encouragement from the former captain Ryan Tenduscarter at mid-off. Jamie Porter, his fellow seam bowler, is at mid-on. Sir Alistair Cook and Simon Harmer, the 2 slip fielders, alongside the wicket-keeper Adam Wheater. They come for his cricket at mid-wicket, and the skipper Tom well. As Quinn finally has the ball back in his hand, very deliberately places it in his hand, cocked wrist, as he comes in and bowls now to Robinson. Robinson on the drive. There's a shout for LBW, which is cut off in its prime because there was an inside edge on it from Robinson. No inside edge there, and I think he was probably LBW, as it was the inside pad, and it got trapped there, so he just tosses it to Varun Chopra. But this is probing stuff from Quinn at the Hayes close end, and from Cook at this /T end well. So Essex all can try and break this partnership. Quinn is ready once again. What's he got up his sleeve? His short sleeves, that is. running in towards us, past umpire Debenham, into Robinson, and Robinson dropping that one into the offside. They think about a quick single, it's not there as Chopra swoops in. Throws the ball to Porter at mid-on. More claps around the outboring his mark, and remember where he wants to be standing. To Matt Quinn. Wind's just dropped slightly now. Warm conditions, by no means baking. Sunshine going in has slightly helped us. It was beaming right into our commentary box and our faces here as well. Quinn is in once again. Robinson, well, ducks out of the way of that one and then sort of offers the bat as it goes past him sort of about chest height, thinking possibly about ramping that up and over the slip. So he got into a bit of a tangle, fortunately for him, as it went through to Wheater. Thought about letting it go and then thought, oh, well, hang on, might just be able to flip that one over the slips. 137 for 3, but it's good stuff this from Quinn. Essex with 1 point to their name, 1 point so far. And Quinn is ready once again. It's looking likely. Can he force the break? So he's into Robinson now, off the back foot, pushing into the offside. Should just be the single. Chopra gives chase and stops that 3/4 of the way to the boundary. They come through for a single. The throw from Chopra goes over Wheater's head, but there is Cushy backing up. And eventually they sort it out. It was a little bit messy. Umpires looking at each other, not knowing whether to take their positions or not, because the ball was bouncing all over the shop at the single. And it goes up to 138 for Ben's back with us. There's Quinn. Close end. This is the final delivery of the 37th over. So at the end of this there'll still be 53 remaining in the day. As Quinn is in, bowling to Kuhn. Oh, shout for LBW here, but again sound like a bit of a woody sound for my mate as it bounces out into the offside and there is no run. So you feel Essex are getting closer, but they're going to have to do it sooner rather than later. A couple of LBW appeals for inside edges into the misses, but nothing so far from his point of view. Drinks are coming on already. We've played, what, 27 minutes, haven't we? Well, probably 25 since the resumption of the lunch, so the sanitizer comes on as well. 12th man with his mask on too. And we'll just have a little bit of a pause in play. But Kuhn and Robinson just surviving a couple of iffy moments, Ben, but they're still there, and that's all they'll care about.
Yeah, very much so. Job to do for Kent. Their 12th man just a bit slow in coming up. Team one of the new signings just making his way down the steps. Just noticing elsewhere that Nottinghamshire have lost Chris Nash for 59, but Hamid won away from a half century. And then for Durham, bit of cricket after that early rain. Sean Dixon on loan from Kent, but will be joining Durham permanently next season. Debut for him out for 11, out to Ben Code. Probably not the first time, because Code, fierce competitor for Yorkshire against Kent last season as well. Also in that division, Lancashire 91 for 3. Northamptonshire reduced to 76 for 6 now by Warwickshire. Somerset 95 for 4 against Glamorgan. Gloucestershire 113 for 1 against Worcestershire. And then in this group, Sussex now 102 for 5 against Hampshire, having started off pretty nicely. Phil Salt's on 62. Clara wickets at the other end.
Cook in and bowling, and again Robinson straight bat, pushes it back out to the offside for no run.
And then the one final game I haven't mentioned, Middlesex 87 for 1 against Surrey.
Because like Kent, Middlesex, Surrey played Middlesex in the week as well, didn't they? So they're very familiar with each other.
Yeah. But yeah, largely earlier on, we haven't seen too many wickets out. A few flurries else in a couple of places.
Cook in and bowling, and Robinson just covers up defensively. No run once again. Cook's bowled well since the lunch break, without any reward so far. Sun comes out from behind a cloud. A jet aeroplane with its stream behind it. Goes in behind that cover. It's easy around Chelmsford, not maybe as busy as you might expect for a regular Saturday, but they're certainly busier than they were 5 or 6 weeks ago. Cook comes into Robinson, and Robinson inside edge on that, and they come through for a single. Kuhn called him through very quickly. Good throw, by the way, from Cushy. Picked it up through, hit the stumps, but Robinson was home. Robinson didn't know where the ball had gone, so was looking for it. Kuhn fortunately noticed he was still looking for it and gave him a loud shout of yes to come through for the single. 139.
Yeah,
So he's touched the bails and the stumps, which means no one else can touch that. And when we have the next break, a member of the ground staff will have to come in and wipe it down with a sanitising wipe.
Keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. Could be the highlight of the day. As Cook comes in and bowls to Kuhn, and Kuhn with no timing, driving out to the offside, and on the bounce it's fielded by Varun Chopra. I haven't seen it, but they said the ball has to be cleaned every 6. I've been watching it at all, but I assume it just goes stuff in their pockets. They can just give it the once over with.
I must admit, I haven't noticed. Do they just get a wipe down? Does it have to be?
I think it has to be. I think it's around that time. You might got people raw. Cook's ready. Bowl 2 slips. No third man or long leg for Cook here. He's in and bowling, and that's worked into the onside for no run. Fielding's done by Tom Wesley.
I do wonder if it has any effect on the ball at all. Obviously saw wickets fall with the new ball. Since then, I think Kent have had a little hint of fortune at times. Perhaps it's just doing as much as it was early on.
Cook's ready. And he's in to Kuhn. Full delivery again. Kuhn not quite timing that one. And it's fielded by Chopper again. There's no run. That is the end of the over. 139 for 3 is the Kent score. 38 overs gone now. And Ben's going to pick.
Is Papara just playing sixes on the side?
Well, he's made him so. He said he wants to play red ball, but the plan was, well, he was going to be going around the world playing in the various T20 competitions and then come back and he'd be available for Sussex for whatever. But yeah, not playing in this round of games.
I don't know what competitions are on elsewhere.
I don't think there are any, are there?
Yeah, there was some talk about moving the IPL to the UAE, and maybe you'd have the Caribbean Premier League around about this time of year.
Well, that's interesting because yes, that's what, because the CPL is due to start quite soon. Because is it Carlos Brathwaite, wasn't it? We're doing the commentary for TMS. He's going back to play for his side.
Okay. Well, here comes Quinn bowling to Robinson here at the county ground at Chelmsford, pushed up the pitch. Listening to Ben Watson, Glenn Speller from BBC Radio Essex, BBC Radio Kent, BBC Sport Online. You can get in touch with us on various emails and Twitter addresses. Kent Cricket at BBC Kent Sport for the regular Kent listeners. Next played him by his Sussex debut in that game we were just talking about. Former Kent man.
I was just about to say the same. Literally flashed across my screen at the same time.
Yeah, another much loved member of the team, but this one's pushed back towards the bowler. I think it was a case of contractually maybe got a better offer from Sussex. Longer deal perhaps, I don't know the details in truth. But yeah, it really was a character in the Kent dressing room, will be definitely missed behind the scenes as much as on the pitch and with his contributions. White and red ball cricket. A little bit of cloud cover just for the moment over the Ashley Down Road end of the ground. Short ball from Quinn and pulled away by Robinson out towards long leg where Cook with a cap and the shades on his head does the fielding. Of course it's not necessarily an issue today, but we have seen him pretty bit. They have to give them to someone else and whack them on their head, or if they've got a jumper they have to chuck it the other side of the boundary road. Can't be giving the umpires then, of course.
So Morgan one day seemed easy for the bowlers, was always wearing the two hats. It was Raheem Cornwall, wasn't it, for the West Indies, standing at slip with the two caps on.
Might have even seen Joe Root wearing 3 at one point. Quinn with 2 slips, bowls to Kuhn, who's waiting patiently for this one, tries to steer it into the onside, but only manages to hit it straight to the fielder. Quinn and Cook have been pretty tight since the lunch interval.
I think weren't Anderson and Broad sharing a jumper as well, I think, doing that match while they were bowling together.
That's right, too.
Imagine all the kit the ECB could save money on if they just shared jumpers and caps. That's got to be careful.
That's a full livery, and well, it wasn't quite full enough because Kuhn has cut it away down towards the third man boundary, and Quinn has just maybe fallen a little bit heavily on one of his ankles there, just walking away a little bit gingerly. Kuhn, 100th ball he's faced, entry after Joe Denley's F. Robinson's faced 99 balls, so now worth 100. Even my maths, I can just about work that out.
You could the inside jumper, and then one on the outside, just turn it inside out depending on who was wearing it. See, I've got the market cornered.
Hey, you could. This is a new niche. You should get this idea into development ASAP before somebody else pinches it. Claim the royalties. Quinn a little bit wide on the crease, driven by Kuhn up towards mid-off, who is fairly deepish, but they don't take a single end of the over. So 144 for 3, 5 off the over. Queen's 11 overs, 1 maiden none for 35. 2 for 26.
Half century for Hasib Hamid on his Nottinghamshire first class debut from 112 deliveries. That's the Hasib Hamid we know. Take loads of time, take the shine off the ball, score some runs as well.
Effectively the job that England have got Dom Sibley now doing.
Yep, nothing wrong with that.
Nice. I mean, I had one game last season where he's playing 6 to be honest, but he's done all thing, he's doing exactly the job from your opener.
It's funny how cricket's come full circle, isn't it? They didn't want people like that in the team. Now suddenly everybody's looking for that sort of player.
Certainly it's, nobody can bat overs. We need this player. Cook bowls, turned away into the onside by Robinson.
Go back to the old days of watching Test cricket on the BBC when I was growing up, and you'd have players there all the time, and you'd be horrified if you get a ball in the air or you had to slog on another was playing where confidence. Do you want to sit down? You've got no intention of going anywhere. But I guess it's more of a balanced thing now. You can have one player in your team to do that now, can't you? And everyone else plays around them. In the old days, you'd have 3 or 4 players do that.
Cook into a Robinson. The more patient of these two batsmen, you would say, although times Kuhn has been fairly watchful as well. Yeah, I think even the Sibley ton in that series against West Indies still had a better strike rate than Michael Atherton, and Atherton was on comms for the TV, and so therefore I think pointed out a couple of times, well, I can't be critical because he's batting quicker than I used to. Bit of loosening up at mid-on here for Porter. Might see him very soon, perhaps Harmer as well. Driven by Ollie Robinson back towards the bowler, didn't get any sort of meaningful connection on the stroke.
Northamptonshire 86 to 7 against Warwickshire, and Tim Bresnan has a wicket for Warwickshire. That'll take some getting used to as well, not seeing his name in the Yorkshire side. There are a few things we've got to get used to.
Some rumour, wasn't there?
There was one names of these two I hasten to add, but there was another one apparently who weren't too keen.
As Cook is in and bowling and driven away gloriously by Ollie Robinson, full flourish of the bat and the wrist snapping through the ball, and that is going to go all the way for 4. Hits up to 148 for 3.
There was another one reportedly as well, names that were put in the public domain, but look, counties have got people on furlough, they've got to bring them out of furlough. Where's the income coming from? So you can understand that, but if you are a cricket club, your job is to play cricket, and there's cricket available to play, you have to play.
Yeah. Here comes Cook in and bowling to Robinson, driven up towards Porter at mid-on.
Again, just playing slightly around that front pad in front of the stump there, which is why there was a few from the Essex players. Has looked threatening, but there's been a couple of inside edges. But if you're getting in the middle of the bat on the ball, it doesn't matter where your pad is, does it?
That's a good spot though, because you look at Robinson's technique, and there isn't too much to think as a bowling side. How can we try and exploit that? Off the inside edge of the bat here.
It's just planting that front foot, and it was off the inside edge, but the front foot was planted in front there, and he's just playing slightly around it. End of the over. And Cook's looked the more likely, but as I said, if they were going to get the breakthrough, it needed to happen early, and then as it goes on, they'll become less and less threatening, and these two can settle in for a nice afternoon, you would think.
Yeah, they have managed to re-settle in after the lunch period. There's always a danger that when you've been going so well before lunch, you come back in and try and get back into the groove that you were in before the 40-minute break, and end up playing a stroke and a false shot and getting out. But these two have managed to seemingly
in fifth over there. I think that was a great decision to back them. I know they beat England a number of years ago in India, but I'm afraid, he says, I don't think they're good enough.
Quinn continuing, driven by Kuhn, but straight to Chopra, who stops the ball well and ends up actually rolling in a bit of dust and on practice wickets, and as a result the came back and scampered through for a single.
Chopra hurt himself as well, feeling a finger on one hand, and now he's on the ball. But I think in English conditions developing nation, you are under the pump somewhat.
I thought they bowled pretty well in the first game. It's a short ball which is pulled away by Robinson out towards long leg 53.
It's a bouncer in the sport. It was all very slow, wasn't it? Very just slow and easy. It was almost like a tennis ball.
They were taking quick wickets. They might be able to threaten England, but never really had enough runs on the board. After only posting, what was it, 170 something last time?
Durham's 34 for 3.
Bowls another bouncer. Kuhn just ducks underneath this one, sways out of the way.
Back out playing there after a prolonged stoppage of rain this morning.
Still record, okay?
Look, when nations beat one of the big guys, it's great because it means cricket is, throwing the word a little bit wider and further than it should have been. I was disappointed when they reduced the number of teams in the World Cup, really.
Yeah, teams like that, that's their platform. As someone's off the back foot, driven into the offside. Not high, no Kuhn. But straight to Chopra, who just to stay on his feet this time.
Series count for World Cup qualification in some way, shape or form. It's the series they've got against Ireland. But again, it's the only international cricket being played anywhere in the world at the moment.
Yeah, up until when's the Pakistan Test series?
A couple of weeks time. Yeah, a couple of weeks on. It starts on Wednesday, I think, doesn't it?
Of course, it's a different England team. It's a separate entity. They are having another look at the ball, and I think they might even be changing the ball. So any successful, seemingly successful consultation with the umpire from the Essex fielders, saying, this one's not really round, can we have another one please?
So they will go to the is he getting his measure out first? I don't think he's picked another ball up, is he?
Maybe he is having a look at the umpire. Ben Debenham's realised he hasn't got his little bit of kit.
Oh yes, that's not. Oh yeah, he's saying change it. I'm going to change it, yeah. So he's got his little measure out there and he's just showing it up that the ball is actually stuck. It doesn't go through the implement that they use. It has to, you used to use the balls in the nets. They were like egg-shaped, weren't they? Because they're just old match balls you'd use. So it's not obviously fully round, so he's just shouting, I'm going to change it. And he's just going through a bag of balls at the moment to select one.
It'll be interesting to see if this has an impact at all.
Just going to do an update into BBC Essex's Around the Wicket programme in the next few moments' time. Victoria Polly's on air between 2 and 4 every Saturday. Good to have that programme back as well, talking club cricket as well as lots of other things. They're talking cricket memorabilia today, by the way, so if you've got a collection of cricket memorabilia, could be anything, maybe you've got some old Wisden almanacs or the ball you took your first and only ever wicket with and that sort of thing. I'm sure Victoria would love to hear from you. essex.sport@bbc.co.uk on the email, or you can give her a ring, 0800 111 4041. We were talking about Graham Gooch's 333 earlier on, weren't we? And I have got a Stuart Surridge Turbo Grand Prix bat, which was the bat I used to use, and I had to rescue it from the charity shop because a number of years ago Mum and Dad rang me up and said, I've just been clearing out some more of your bits we found in the loft. We've put all your cricket stuff in the charity shop. I was like,
what?
But not my bat. No, the bat. So they had to race back downtown and fish the bat. They said he doesn't mind you keeping the rest of it, but can he have his bat back, please? So that's in my cupboard under the stairs at home now. It didn't. I don't think in the entirety of its use it made 333 runs, but
yeah,
it's a good thing to have.
I definitely had a couple of balls knocking around from. I took a hat trick when I was 11.
Fantastic.
So I had that ball for ages. I don't know where it still is. And then the only 100 I've ever scored, the bat I've got is broken and I don't have a grip on it anymore, but I found it in my parents' garage the other day, so I whipped it out and it's in my car at the moment.
Yeah, you just keep it. You can keep it understood in the cupboard under the stairs, in the garage. Doesn't matter where. You might even want to use them to stake your tomato plants in the garden or something like that, as long as you've still got it.
So we're back up and running then. New ball in Quinn's hand and driven by Heine Kuhn up towards mid-on.
Of course, the changing ball might not only help the bowlers, it might help the batsmen. It might go a bit quicker.
Yeah, that's different. Maybe I found about it. Pick up all these feet. A number of overs old. It's almost 42 overs old, or 3. From the Hayes close end. And final time in the over. Quinn, tall in his action, short ball, dug into the pitch. Kuhn pivots and swivels and pulls the ball out towards deep square leg for a single. End of the over. So the South African 58 not out, 64 for Robinson, 151 for 3.
So they've added 26 runs since lunch. Have Kent. There's been the odd scare here and there, maybe the hint of a wicket, but at the moment nothing really happening for Essex. You've got to think that Simon Harmer at some point is going to get a long bowl. I'm just looking at the end of this wicket at the moment. Looks like Simon Harmer is going to come on. You've got to think he's going to get a long bowl here if they can't make the breakthrough.
Yeah, it always looks like he's going to make something happen, doesn't he, Simon Harmer?
He used to bowl slightly better than he did in the before lunch, where he got cracked for 3 consecutive 4s when he just kept dropping the ball down the leg side.
Yeah, I reckon Porter won't be too long.
No.
It looks like he's warming up. Come on at the other end.
Have you got to go and update the radio Kent listeners?
So, yeah.
Oh, you often do that. And then we battle this in a few minutes' time. The score from the playoff as well, would you, while you're there? Thank you. So Simon Harmer's ready to start there from the river end. Just organising. He's pretty much left to his own devices, to be honest. Or Wesley lets him do the job, and unless the skipper spots something that he really wants to instigate. But Harmer's in, and he's bowling now to Heino Kuhn. Flat delivery, pushed out to the onside for no run. 151 for... Here's Harmer again. Try and get that one a little bit more air. A good dip on it as well. Met with the straight bat of Kuhn once again. So just a reminder, I'll update BBC Essex listeners in a few moments' time. Watching Simon Harmer whirl away from this river end at the moment, Victoria, but they've failed to make the breakthrough since lunch. Kent resuming on 125 for 3, have moved on to 154 for 3. There have been 2 or 3 close things here, a couple of inside edges onto pads where otherwise you'd think players would have been palpably LBW, as Heino Kuhn reverse sweeps Simon Harmer now for what might just get to the boundary, but these 2 other than that have been largely untroubled. Sam Cooks looked the more likely for Essex, but he's taking a breather at the moment. But from 23 for 3, Kent have now moved on to a breakthrough here. It could be a long old afternoon. The ball did not go to the boundary, so they picked up 3 more runs there, did Kent. Kuhn's pulled out the reverse sweep on 3 or 4 occasions now. Sees that as the go-to shot against Simon Harmer. He's asking the onside to Ollie Robinson. He's got a forward short leg in and a very short straight mid-wicket as well. Harmer is in once again. Robinson onto the back foot, playing very watchfully, and there is no run. Chopra gives the ball a bit of shine, inspects it. It's a replacement ball, remember. A couple of overs replaced. Harmer, plenty of air with that one. Robinson shimmies down the pitch and is able just to ease that one over mid-off for 4 runs. Mid-off was right up on the edge of the square there, and so he knew just as long as he got some kind of decent connection there, Robinson, that was always going to go for 4. And you just wonder if that was a tester from Harmer, because he did give that one plenty of flight and plenty of air, but it got the treatment from Robinson, and he moves on from Kuhn, rather I should say, and he moves on to 61 and Robinson on to 68, and that is the end of the over. So it was Robinson who hit that for 158 for 3, and these 2 heading towards a stand of 150. Tom Wesley's the man who had to come and fetch the ball as well from the boundary. He has a chat with Simon Harmer, a few words with Sir Alistair Cook, goes back to him for another word as well. Maybe don't try that again might be the word, but these 2 just go on and on and on. And Robinson, who is the wicket-keeper, don't forget, really well. He's got 68 from 180. Kuhn's almost up there with him. 61 from 110 balls. Harmer 9, and Porter is coming on to bowl from the Hayes close end. 1 for 47 from his 9. The run rate has been stemmed though by Essex. Middle of the morning it was up just under 5, around about 4.8, 4.9. It's down now to 3.8, so Essex have at least done a decent job there. Porter is in and bowling down the leg side, and Kuhn emails with one eye probably on the one day international, half night in the Grand Prix qualifying. FA Cup later on this evening, all county championship games being played as well. As Porter is ready again at the end of his run. He's in and bowls, and Coons is very, very defensively, and there's no run once again, but Porter right on breakthrough. That's going to get them thinking about making their way through this count. Porter just wipes his brow, makes his approach again, running towards us from the Hayes close end, and bowls down the leg side, and Coon just eases that one just behind square. It jogs through. And they've rotated the strike very nicely. Done everything very well so far. Just the response they would have wanted to lose those three very early wickets. And the Essex bowlers have some thinking to do. Porter in again, shirt rippled by the breeze again. Same result, this time off the back foot from Robinson. Head. How am I going to get one of these two out to work for us? They've tried 4 main bowlers, maybe a change in approach. Maybe Tom Wesley had a go. Ryan Taylor fill a couple of overs, but at the moment they're looking to what they would see as their gun bowlers to do the job. And that one just tucks Coon up again. This time works it down to Long, who comes off the fence and tidies up. And they come through for a single 161 for 3. Trouble. Yeah, no, are they doing it? The rest of the yeah, be. Porter in Robinson to the back foot, just sits back and pulls.
As yet, despite the change in ball, not a change in the pattern of the play. Interesting to see Robinson going up and over the top again against Harmer over mid-off.
Yeah, the mid-off was up then, so he knew if he just got some kind of connection. That was, I think it was almost a testing ball from Harmer. He gave it lots of flight just to see if anything would happen. But you know, Robinson's deep enough into his innings now to be able to strike that. Ireland 18 for 2, both wickets to David Willey. Reece Topley none for 12 so far. He's in his 4th over.
Yeah, David Willey's really seemingly come back with a vengeance after being dropped, of course, as for Jofra Archer in the World Cup squad.
Yeah, by all reports, he thought that was his international career done. David Willey thought, you know, that's it. I won't get another chance now. But he's only 30, so there's plenty left in the tank to re-establish himself. Drinks taken, hands sanitising done, ball wiped presumably. And do you want to pick up commentary, Ben? Or two?
Commentary ready to go again. Wesley long on. Down the pitch comes Ollie Robinson. Skipping down and driving this ball up towards the aforementioned Essex captain at long on. So single to him. Start the over.
Middlesex 123 for 2. Middlesex have undergone a mini recovery. 124 for 6 now down at Hove.
It's Coon on strike. Nudges this one up towards long on once more. Got a reverse sweep, isn't it?
98. Somerset 1/3 and Gloucestershire 131 for 1 in the West Division.
Just a slip and a short leg in play now, no leg slip for Harmer, as Robinson comes right forward and plays defensively. Squares out towards me.
Northleigh 184 for Leicestershire for 4 against Yorkshire, and Nottinghamshire 147 for 3 now against Derbyshire after a century opening stand there.
Harmer wheeling in. Right forward Ollie Robinson. Hands out in front. Just pushing this one back.
Yeah, Nash 59, Duckett 9 and Clark 8 and men to go for knots.
I mean, still there then?
Yep.
Once more. Played softly into the onside by Ollie Robinson. Man at deep square. McQuinn, I think, is he chatting to Andre now? He is. Harmer driven, clips nicely by Robinson up towards the Essex skipper, and Near the over from Harmer, so 3 off it. Robinson to 72-64. Heineken, Kent 165 for 3.
Here's a good spot. Here's Andre Nell, bowling and assistant coach here.
He took quite a smart catch off the stump during the warm-up game at Canterbury and during the lunch break, and he let out a little sound of glee as he held on to it.
I've still got it, he said.
Yeah, yeah. A little bit of movement. I think Alistair Cook might have just been off the field momentarily there. He's now coming back on.
It's tough work at first slip.
Yeah, it's a hard life, isn't it? Tough being a the weight of that title. He's back. Here comes Porter, defended into the offside. Is there anything around the ground that's named after?
No.
No,
not yet.
Time,
yeah, give it time. I'm sure. I mean, because there's still plans to redevelop the ground, but that's been in the planning for 5 or 6 years. They keep moving closer to it, but then things get in the way, and obviously, unfortunately, the pandemic and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, but it is all planned. They've got some of the apartments up around and that sort of thing, but it is still planned. I wonder when they redevelop the ground, they may decide we'll name this, and that sort of thing.
Porter a little bit wider of the crease. Robinson again just playing it softly and defensively. I did find there was a comment the other day which was fairly amusing. They did like bowling games, Anderson, and he preferred the other one.
You'd have thought that they're giving him the pick of which end.
We're changing the square round, James. Which end do you prefer to bowl from? We'll name that end after you. So it's Cook and Harmer at slip. Points cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. Deep square has gone. Square leg gone back to the deep. As Porter bowls. Robinson just looked a little bit unsure. Let's go forward or back to that one. One legs well out there in front of us.
Jamie Porter was just remarking his run up there as he walked back, just taking a couple of longer strides, whether he feels it's not quite right.
He's at the top of it now and running past umpire Debenham, driven away by Ollie Robinson for 4 runs out to cover point boundary.
Keep it on your inch out. You get driven like that, and they're so well set, and 2 batsmen who are thinking in that frame of mind as well. They're not, just thinking about playing it out. They're thinking, if it's there, I'll hit it.
One of the coaching staff was actually right by where that ball went, and I thought, oh, he's gone towards the ball. You're not supposed to pick it up. He actually just kicked it back to. Assuming we don't need to sanitise it off his shoe. Porter bowls, back of length, just turned away into the onside. It was in the air momentarily from Robinson. It was fairly comfortably enough. He played towards respect.
Keep working was the cry from former captain, clapping his hand. It is hard work out there, and they've had 3 months away from it. Might be thinking, why have I come back?
Here he comes again, Porter. Angle down towards second slip in the end from Heineken. Into the over. 173 with 164 and 77 here. Radio Essex, BBC Radio Kent, BBC Sport Online. Oh, with some sort of a glove on to take.
It's just, isn't it?
Is Aaron Beard? Such is life, though. The duties of a county cricketer, not in the 11.
I mean, it's not ridiculous because you have to do it, but it's just like you have to have that thought process of going, yeah, well, I can't handle it. I need a glove for that. I can't. You've just got to, before you do anything, you need to pause for a moment, think, and then do it.
Harmer from around the wicket to Ollie Robinson, defended down the pitch. Major Percy on Twitter saying, good recovery from the Kent boys so far.
No, they've done really, really well.
This pair as Harmer bowls and Robinson drives and comes through for a quick single. It's like the throw to the bowler's end. Now he runs away from 150.
Yes,
Sam being worth.
Yeah, last wicket went down at 20. Last 2 wickets went down at 23.
Had a tweet from Paul as well, who's at the Neville ground, Tunbridge Wells, watching one of their teams play against Sevenoaks. As Harmer is in, defended into the onside. With myself actually.
It's not bad, is it?
Yeah. Kent women were playing against Surrey's women, and it was a glorious sunny day as well. I was just lounging on the day off, and it was a lovely day for it, but yes. Swept away this next one from Heineken out towards Deep square leg. Yeah, it was the club I grew up playing when I was younger. Didn't play on the main pitch too often, because I normally played third team and wasn't quite good enough for the second team. But Sunday games we used to play on the main pitch.
Fantastic.
Oh, such a good place to play your cricket. Signed Marine, defended back down the pitch by Coon. There were occasions when, say, if the team had got into a national cup competition, an away team would rock up and on a Sunday or something and think, oh, we're playing here. No, sorry lads, we're in the car park.
Behind the bins.
It's got better. Oh, there's a shout for LBW. I think it was down the leg side. I think up to be anyhow. Did off the top of his pad anyhow. End of the over, 173 for 3. Heineken 66 and 7 partnership between these two for the 4th wicket. Kent recovering after those early wickets for Essex that reduced them to 23 for 3 with Drummond out for 6, Cox of 15 and leaning without scoring.
You see, the club where I played, where I grew up, was in a county with a minor county, so it wasn't, it wasn't anything like first-class cricket. But there was one year where the minor county where I grew up were playing their local rivals, and so you played at the big county ground in the county. So I had all the stands and the marquees up. I just let this ball go by.
Here comes Porter, 2 slips in play. Shout for LBW, maybe just a little bit leg side. Wade Robinson was shaping up to play that.
And so we got to play the team that played their home games at this ground on the following Sunday, and they'd left all the marquees and stands up, so we were walking out thinking we were the biggest knees. No one standing on the marquees.
Yeah,
when junior football, you got to a cup final, and you played at the local team ground. Well, we're not playing under floodlights, all right?
Yeah, my school team, I think, occasionally played at Tunbridge Angels ground.
Yeah. We have the lights on. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. No.
2 slips in play. Here comes Porter once more. Oh, beats the outside edge. Has he got an edge? He has. Robinson on his way. Just indicated maybe a little bit of nip off the surface. A touch of away movement, and it's just got a feather of an outside edge. And Ollie Robinson, who had been just 22 runs away from back-to-back centuries this week against Essex, departs for 78. And after a stab of 150, 4th gets it finally a bit. Robinson, the keeper, goes for 78. Caught Wheater, bowled 124 balls stay. Essex finally get their man.
It was down because he knew that maybe blooded at it was just to play a defensive shot. Fortunate for Ollie Robinson, who batted so lighted, because you could see there might be some frustration starting to set in because they just couldn't break these two up and they didn't look like getting out. It's a fantastic stand of 150. Let's put Kent right back in this game after a rocky old start. Heino Kuhn is still there, importantly from an Essex point of view, but Robinson batted so well, and he will be very disappointed to go in that fashion, and as you say, Ben, miss out on back-to-back centuries as well. So let's see whether this can maybe open the door for Essex now. Trying to see who this is striding to wicket, actually. They haven't put his name up yet, and he's got a sweater on, so I can't see the name. Can't see the number.
I think it is that man.
Is it Mr. Stevens?
Darren Stevens.
Thorn in Essex's side.
As soon as you said the sweater, I was like, there's only one man wearing a sweater in these conditions.
Well, he's reached an age. I should say I'm older than he is, but he's reached an age. He's starting to feel the cold, Ben.
He always says it, in fairness, but genuinely, if it was 35 out there, he'd still be wearing that sweater.
What a fantastic cricketer this man is. And brilliant as well from his point of view, but brilliant from Ken that they could turn around and actually say, we're wrong, we're going to change our minds, we'd like you to stay.
Yeah, I'd say credit to Matt Walker on that front, because I remember interviewing him after the 10-wicket haul that Stevens got at Nottinghamshire, and I said to him, hang on a minute, he's still got it. You don't want to let him go elsewhere, do you?
Because he wasn't he? He was going to play for someone else, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he said, we're not afraid to say, hang on Darren, we got this wrong. And then when he got the 200 the week after, it was absolutely nailed on. They're going to have to offer him something.
We're still not sure, Darren. 10 wickets in a century, we're not sure.
So he's into the crease. Didn't score in the warm-up game at Canterbury earlier in the week. Here's Porter to him. Oh, plays and misses outside the off stump. Suddenly Essex will chirp here in the field after getting their man and their breakthrough, and now Stevens in. There
are probably plenty of counties who do say this about him, simply because he's been around. He always seems to turn up against Essex, but there's probably counties who say, oh no, not Darren Stevens. But it might have been 4 or 5 years since he did something, but he's been around that long.
I think Matt Cole actually, during lockdown, at some point we were having a discussion, and my BBC Radio Kent colleague got the stats out and was looking at who Stevens had been most successful against. And I can't remember if it was wickets or runs, but Essex was one of those, his top counties.
I'm surprised. Penalties, by the way, it's going to Weymouth Dartford.
3 slips now. Stevens defended by instantly.
says 44.
44.
So he's 4 years older than Ryan Scarter, who just turned 40 this year.
He actually made his county debut back in '97, so
Okay.
I think he was saying pre-last season that he was even thinking about trying to play on this year, because it would be a fourth decade of his career spanned.
Yeah.
Defends this on back down the pitch.
And if you're still scoring runs, you know, and still taking wickets, then why would you? And you're still fit. Why would you give it up? Why would you say, you know, like you said, I'm still going to play next year. If it's not for Kent, I'll play for. Was he on loan at Derbyshire? Was it Derbyshire?
Yeah, in the T20. Yeah.
You know, I'm sure some county somewhere would have given him a job.
I'm sure they would have done. 3 slips in play. He waits. Short ball, which is towards a point. Running the other. Porter with a wicket maiden after striking, getting rid of Robinson for 78. Kent 173 for 4.
6, they've got the breakthrough. Now, and see if they can win this session before we go to tea. Simon Harmer's going to stay on from this river end. Heino Kuhn still there, 66 not out from 120 balls. Strike rate of 55.
If we could just get a couple of overs of Stevens against Harmer, I'm sure we'll be. He's not just going to sit there and block it.
Maybe Essex know that, and they might encourage Harmer to toss it up as well.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
You can probably just hear Simon Harmer shouting out. He's just sent the man to backward point. Oh, he's going, was talking. Yeah, it's no backward point, but he's saying just stopping the 2. Big gaps on the offside as Harmer comes in. Still bowling to that short leg. Kuhn drives straight. Comes for the single. It's not there. Sends Stevens back. He turns around and makes it just as Jimmy Porter prepared to offload the throw.
I think Heino Kuhn's remembered who he's batting with now. Ollie Robinson's pretty quick between the wickets.
Harmer's in again. Gives that one a bit of air. Reverse sweep from Kuhn, which seems to be a go-to shot. As long as you execute okay, I think that's a pretty low risk shot as well with the field that Harmer's got. But it brings Stevens down onto strike. Surely want to have a look or anything about any fireworks. He's just moving Matt Quinn around now in front of square on the mid-wicket boundary. Tom Wesley having a chat, and for Stevens they've brought the man at backward point right up on the single as well. So a bit of a chess match being played here by Essex, moving people around, moving men around. Harmer in, giving that plenty of flight. Stevens just props forward and plays defensively for no run. 20 in that one there. Harmer with the shin. In and bowling. A bit more flight that one to Stevens, who plays uppishly momentarily, and Nick Brown to change direction and make the diving stop.